On today's special episode of Homeworthy, we're exploring 4 unique apartments that showcase the vibrant design and charm of New York living. First, we'll head to Gramercy Park, where we'll tour an interior designer's classical-style apartment, complete with a stunning rooftop terrace that offers a tranquil escape from the city's hustle. Then we'll head to Tribeca to visit a couple's newly renovated 3-bedroom home, filled with natural light and modern touches. Next, we'll visit Clinton Hill, Brooklyn, where a design student has transformed her father's apartment into a colorful and cozy space filled with unique decor. Finally, on the Upper East Side, a sweet couple shares their chic, elegant first home designed to reflect their personalities. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Timothy Whalen. Welcome to my New York City apartment.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
I love the energy of New York, but I also love that you can be anonymous, and I love having this sanctuary inside of New York, because New York can be exhausting. And I love that I can come up here and I feel like I'm perched like a bird above the city in this like little oasis and of green and peaceful, and it's quiet. I'm Tim Whalen, and you're here in my Gramercy Park apartment. I'm an interior designer, but I trained in the arts, so I also help people buy art and do art consulting. This is an Emery Roth building. Emery Roth was an architect who did a lot of buildings in New York in the classical style in kind of the 20s and 30s. And I had just sold my apartment at 39 Fifth Avenue, which was also an Emery Roth building. And I was looking around, and I just was so enthralled by the terrace space. The light was so incredible, and the terrace was so incredible, and the views looking north. I had the MetLife Tower. I looked at New York Life, a beautiful deco building and its golden spear on top at night, and I thought, wow, this apartment has possibility. Well, I was very artistic as a child, but my path was I was an English and art history major at Kenyon College, and when I graduated, I came to New York and I did a management training program on Wall Street, and I was a banker in private banking for almost 6 miserable years. I didn't really want to go into banking. I was going to go to law school, but my parents said you need to get a job. Came to New York, got all kinds of job offers, and it was a great training, but I decided I wanted to get into the art world, so I went back to school with Sotheby's in London. And then I did my second management training program with Sotheby's in New York, and I rotated around every department for almost 2 years, which was an amazing kind of learning environment. And you had any exhibition, you were taken around by the experts in each department, and it was just an incredible learning experience. After that, I started helping people buy art and antiques. I started consulting. Sotheby's asked me to inventory a big collection of decorative arts at 740 Park for Saul and Gayford Steinberg. So I did that, and then one night I went to the theater and I sat next to a lady at a dinner from Aspen who had a bunch of Joan Mitchell paintings, and I love Joan Mitchell. She's one of my favorite artists, and she asked me to do her apartment on Fifth Avenue and 69th Street, right down from my office. And that was kind of the beginning. And I was buying art and antiques for a girl that went to Kenyon, her father, and he was building a big house on Sutton Square, and we were buying all the antiques. And I was working with a decorator at the time, and she was overly restoring the antiques and covering them with fabrics I didn't really like. And I kind of thought, wow, I might be able to do this better. And that's how it kind of came. That's how my business kind of started. This is my entry vestibule, which as you can see is very small. So I decided to kind of open it up with a beautiful 1930s Italian mirror that came from Phillips Auction House. And it had a very low estimate on it. And it unfortunately did not go for a low amount. And the light fixture is something that's made by an artisan in Paris. It's all rock crystal. And I just love the star shape, and I wanted a little drama here, and at night you can dim it. And it just gives a little atmosphere since it's not that big of entry vestibule. And then the art on the walls kind of greets you as you come in. I almost treated the art almost like wallpaper. This is one of my favorite artists called Stanley Whitney. And I love works on paper, I love gouaches, I love things that are tactile. So I love that you have a mix of like prints by Ellsworth Kelly, works on paper, and then this is a canvas by a Brazilian artist named Fernanda Gomez, I think. And of course my elephant. I love elephants, and they have to have their trunk up. So that's greeting you with its trunk up to give you some good luck. I just always have loved elephants. It's the logo for my company. Something about an elephant I love, but it's only good luck with the trunk up, so I only collect them with the trunk up. You'll see when you open my kitchen cabinets. This moment here is the first piece of furniture I ever bought when I think I was 27 or 28 years old, and I was doing the management training program at Sotheby's. And they had something called their arcade furniture sale, which is their lower end furniture. And again, it had a low estimate. I think the estimate was like $1,500 to $2,000, but it didn't go for that. But I kept bidding, and I've had it ever since, and I love this piece. It's a very pure piece of English furniture, great color. The bust is a piece of garden statuary that I bought in Palm Beach. And behind it is this like razor blade piece by the German artist Rosemary Trockel. And I just love kind of the juxtaposition of the ancient bust with the contemporary art with a beautiful piece of mahogany. This is Oliver, or Ollie. He's a pretty mellow dog. He's a Canadian Ganaraskin. He likes penthouse living. He doesn't mind the concrete jungle. He's very happy on his terrace. Well, that's one of the other tricks of living in a small apartment. You need case furniture and you need drawers. I keep table linens in here. I can show you, but one whole drawer here is filled with placemats, napkins. This apartment is located on Gramercy Park, and it's kind of a special neighborhood because it's one of the only private parks left in New York. It's gated, it's kept up beautifully, and the architecture around the park is incredible. You have all these 19th century brownstones and buildings and other buildings built in the 20s. You have the National Arts Club, the Players Club. And then if you wind around, you have Irving Place, which is this quaint little street with lots of restaurants and bars. So the neighborhood itself is really special. This space is the heart of the apartment, and what I did is try to maximize the seating in this area because I love to have friends over and entertain. I think I've had 12 people here. What I like is that it's comfortable, and I like that it's low hung, and it kind of the extension of the terrace. I often have the doors open here, which is nice, so you get the fresh air. So these John Ray chairs, I sit in them every day, sometimes more than I do the sofas. Some people don't find them that comfortable. I love them. But what I love is just the construction of them and the caning and the scale of them. You know, now you see them everywhere, but when I bought them, they weren't as prolific as they are today. But these are original ones. They came from Patrick Sagan, who's the top dealer in Jean Ray and Corbusier chairs of this period. And I just love that they give a little bit of a kind of rustic. I love caning, so I think I wanted to bring the caning into this room with everything else to kind of go against the sleek lacquer that the rest of the apartment has. You know, this apartment has just a lot of things I bought on travels, or things like I bought this little inlaid Indian chest. I bought that in London at one of the antique fairs. And then a mix of kind of art that I bought over time. These I bought at an outsider art sale. These are actually Nigerian railroad ties that are made into sculpture. It's kind of my, it's a poor man's Giacometti here. Behind me is another art wall, which is chalker blocked filled with art, as you can see. Again, a lot of works on paper and photography. It's what I love. The little piece right here is by Louis Baltz, and it's from his Industrial Park series, and it's a beautiful kind of minimalist photograph. And this is colorful gouache is by Phillida Barlow, who's also one of my favorite artists. She died recently. She was a British artist who taught at the Slade scale. She actually taught a lot of the great contemporary artists and was kind of like not that well known in her lifetime. Hauser and Wirth kind of tried to champion her art towards the end of her life. I think she was close to 80 or 90 when she died recently. But I love her art, I love her sculpture. And this kind of makes me feel like I'm moving farther up into the sky in this penthouse apartment. Books are really important to me, and one of the challenges of living in a small apartment is where do I put my books. Luckily I have an office with a lot of books in it, but I'm constantly reading and referencing books. So I designed the bookcase to kind of house the books, and the question was, where was I going to put the TV in this apartment? I thought about putting it on this wall at one point, but I didn't love walking into the apartment with the TV. Would have been kind of nice when you're cooking to have the TV there, but this was a better spot. So we designed the bookcases kind of around the TV, and we measured the books. It's always important to measure your books to make sure they're going to fit for the depth. So we did that. And I lacquered the bookcase, which kind of took another element of the apartment to kind of bring it together with the kitchen and the bathroom and the millwork in the bedroom. And then I added this beautiful custom Ann Morris library light above. And what's so nice about it is the scale. To get it this big, you had to do it custom. And it just gives a kind of balance between the Criddle steel windows and this side of the room. And also I've mixed in, these are New Guinea currency rings. They're carved out of abalone shells, and I love them because they're so sculptural, but I bought those too at an oceanic fair, I think one in New York, and then I collected them over time in Paris. And it was funny, I'm not a big skull person, but these little skull bookends, I was shopping with my old neighbor in my old apartment at 39 Fifth Avenue, this amazing Brazilian lady. And we bought those for her apartment at Mantiques. And she recently sold her apartment, very sadly, in New York and moved back to Sao Paulo full time. And she brought those over to my apartment and wanted me to have them. So they have nice memories as well. And then this is a Chinese bench that I had bought for a client. And sadly, when the client passed away, it came up for sale at Christie's, and I bought this, and I love this piece. This is a David Hicks box that I bought at the David Hicks store in Paris years ago. Green's my color, so I was particularly fond of this, and I love anything David Hicks inspired. And then these photophores, I love photophores, and you always see them in metal or classic Louis XVI photophores or Louis XIV photophores. What I love about these is I had a plaster artist kind of take the photophore base and make these in plaster, and then I had hand-blown hurricanes made for them. Now you can't find someone to do the hurricane glass because I tried to make more, but I just love the juxtaposition of the design. The mirror I had made by Wyeth, and the scale was really important. Again, I wanted to open up the apartment, and at night what's interesting is if you sit in certain areas, you get the city buildings and the lights of the city from the north behind. And I also love how it opens up onto the kitchen as well. Obviously I was artistic as a child. I was always, redecorating my bedroom. I was telling my mom what to change her dining room chairs to a ladder back chair from a cane chair. And so I was doing that stuff when I was younger. I think beauty is very important to me. And I think I have a strong aesthetic sensibility that's grown over time. But yes, I think it's something you're kind of born with, and then you kind of hone your skills over time. So this is my terrace. It's the whole reason I bought the apartment. I'm just having this expanse off the kitchen, the living room, and the bedroom makes such a difference. I tried to create kind of a green oasis where I was kind of secluded, but I could see the sky and the buildings beyond. And I have a fountain that runs that makes me think I'm in the countryside with a rolling river, even though it's a restoration hardware fountain. I brought lots of planters in from different areas. This is a company in Belgium that makes these big planters, and it's called Atelier Verkant. And I have a lot of boxwood because in the wintertime I love the expanse from the apartment of having the green hedge and the boxwood, even when it's not summer. But summer is my favorite time, and fall out here, and Ollie likes it too. This is a little seating area where you can have cocktails, read a book. And the terrace was kind of narrow. It's not the deepest terrace, but it's not the narrowest terrace. So I really had to play with the scale of everything out here. And lighting was really important at night. I have 9 wall lights that light the terrace, and some of the plant materials lit from below very subtly as well. So it has a great feeling. I love coming out here. I love the awning because it gives you a kind of tented feel. I don't know if any of you remember when you were kids and you had a dresser across from your bed and you put one of your quilts from your bed up and created a little tent, and it gave you a feeling of comfort. That's what the awning does here. It was grandfathered, so I was only able to replace the awning footprint that was here. Otherwise, I would have run the awning the whole width of the terrace, so it covered all the areas. But it's just in this center area. Now we're under the awning, which is kind of the central part of the terrace. The focal point is the fountain, looking straight through the doors from the drawing room with the 2 boxwood on each side. And then it's divided into the other side, which is the seating area, and over here, which is your dining area, which is one of my favorite areas of the terrace. I have great dinner parties out here. Probably the best month is September, October. May's pretty good too. And summer dinner parties are fun too, but I really like the spring and autumn dinner parties out here. I can seat 10 people comfortably out here. I have 2 side chairs that pull out, and I come out here for my morning coffee. I come out here for glasses of wine or a margarita at night. But this is kind of the best area, and I think what I love too is I love all the Cream City brick. And I love how you have this little arch moment over here, which goes back, which I've made kind of Ollie's area off the kitchen. But if you look down into the arch, it's one of my favorite things. It kind of takes you back in time. Pavers, Pennsylvania bluestone that we have on a pedestal system. When I bought this apartment, it had these beautiful old terracotta tiles that were all over, but the co-op made me change it when I did the alteration agreement and the renovation. And I love the bluestone pavers. They've held up really well, and they kind of give a continuity to the whole terrace. As far as the plant material, I tried to keep it pretty structured and green. There's certain views I wanted to highlight and certain views I wanted to kind of make go away. So I have these great ivy walls in 3 places, one above the fountain, 2 at each end, and then I have a ilex hedge. I tried to create structure with green walls, and then shape with the boxwood balls. I have 4 boxwood lollipop topiaries, and I tried to unite everything with the pots, which are all this Belgian company that made these big square pots and all the round pots that you see up against the periphery of the apartment. I then tried to loosen it up a little bit because boxwood is a little stiff and more structured. So I wanted a little looseness, but I didn't want the terrace feeling overly grown. I wanted it very edited and structured. And so I added, again, the ivy in the pots. I added climbing hydrangea against the wall in the seating area. And then I tried to loosen it up. I love white geraniums in the summertime. So I've added white geraniums, I've added some white lantana, some allium, and this beautiful purple verbena. I think my color palette, in a garden is really greens, different shades of greens and chartreuses and light purples and whites is my favorite. And this is a autumn clematis, which will flower in September. And I've been trying to get it to cover the whole bench, but it's taken a little while. So gardens take a little time, even on a roof terrace. And the challenging thing about potted plants versus things in the ground is that potted plants are a whole different animal. So it's a lot more upkeep, the root structures are different. But I'm really happy the way the garden's now grown in. These were magnolia trees at one point, and at one point I had beautiful crepe myrtles here. And none of them did well, and so I put these dwarf crabapple trees in a couple years ago, and they seem to be thriving. I put 1 in each corner. And again, these are in the same pots as everything else. this Belgian company that makes beautiful pots right outside of Brussels. I love the fact that the color palette is kind of united throughout the interior and the exterior space of the apartment. Obviously, I have this green hedge that you look at, but then there's the striking black and white awning and the black iron on the cradle doors, the black of the custom-made Urban Electric light fixtures, the black garden stool here, which is a vintage garden stool, and all the gray pots. I think having that kind of color palette, it unites the space and makes it more expansive. I love sitting in the living room and just looking out to the terrace with the fountain running and seeing the black and white stripe, which totally plays in harmony with everything I've done inside the apartment. Rain is a tricky thing in New York. I love rain and I love rainy nights. It can be very stressful when you're planning a big dinner party out on the terrace, just because I don't have a dining room inside my apartment. So where do you seat the people? But I think like anything in life, you have to improvise. And I had 12 people for, I think 10 people for dinner. Poured rain, stopped. We cleaned up the whole terrace. We reset the table, poured rain again. Luckily I had help that night, a lot of help. But it ended up pouring. I just rained the whole night for the dinner, and we all sat on the sofa with our food in our laps, and we had the best evening. So I think like anything, you have to improvise, but definitely having a dinner party and hoping that you've been a good boy and the gods are cooperating that night is always a very good thing. Now I'm going to take you into my kitchen. I mean, travel still inspires me, although I don't like to travel as much as I used to, but travel still really inspires me. I traveled a lot in my youth. Curiosity inspires me, so I love the art world. I love learning about art. I love artists. Nature inspires me. I find all those things very inspiring, and I think sometimes you need them to feed your creative juices and to kind of make you rethink things in interior design. I think also fashion is interesting. I'm not a big fashionista, but I watch fashion, and I think watching fashion also inspires you with interior design. This is my kitchen, and what I love about this, after living in an Emery Roth building where I had a big entrance foyer, separate kitchen, I love the openness of living here, and I love how it's open to the living room. And again, because it's open, I have to keep things very neat and tidy, and I had to think about the surfaces and what you were going to look at and what you weren't, and it actually works really well. I carried the same honed Carrara marble both in the bathroom and the kitchen, and I brought it up to the backsplash because I wanted to unite it, and I love the way it comes down on the side here as well. And then I high gloss lacquered all the cabinetry with a vendor that we use that does beautiful lacquer work. And what I love about that for this apartment is the reflective quality, because again, it's another element that kind of makes the apartment bigger, because it reflects the light. And sometimes you can see, like even here, you get the black and white awning reflected in my kitchen cabinet, which again, I love. Kitchens aren't good unless they're utilitarian as well as beautiful. So while I'm edited here, this is a great kitchen. I often have dinner parties where I have chefs cook here, and it works perfectly. They also have to be a little neat because the guests can see it all, but it seems to work, and people seem to have a good time. In a small kitchen, I have everything I need. I have a big, deep sink. I have a little niche here. I always love niches in kitchens. Like I love where you can display beautiful, these are beautiful green David Hicks glasses, again, that I bought at the David Hicks store in Paris when I bought my box. This is the white STA-VA. I always mispronounce it, but I have it all over. I've had this porcelain, God, before they even carried it in the United States, I went to the store on the right bank, right near the Louvre in Paris. It's a beautiful little French shop that makes all this dinnerware. They made these pineapples. They made that mug over there. And there's also these plates that I love to kind of mix with it, which John Darien did as a collaboration with them. Like I said, a kitchen is not a good kitchen unless it functions well. I've got my dishwasher right here. I've got my Sub-zero refrigerator with my flowers that I'm going to put on the table for you in a little while so they don't get wilted. And I even have a washer and dryer, which is kind of amazing in New York City. So again, this goes back to what I was talking about earlier, is really planning how you want to live in a small space. I knew that the washer and dryer was important to me to have, and I was able to get permission from the building to do it. And it makes a big difference. Even the drawers, we had fitted out, which I like that all my cutlery can fit. I like that things are organized. And because I entertain a lot and I don't like clutter in this small apartment, I have a lot of upper storage. Way up top, you can see my collection of Chinese export frogs, which I seldom get down from there, and my Christopher Spitz Miller jardinières and all kinds of Persian vases, and there are my elephants with their trunk up. And I think there's another elephant, more vases. Oh, and another elephant with its trunk up, and more vases and things that I use for entertaining. Also, more storage. These are my antique paper mache wine coolers from Sotheby's. Little silver beakers, more porcelain. This is my friend Martin Lawrence Bullard gave me this from his design dinnerware. I don't really use his coffee mugs, but don't tell him. I prefer my big white coffee mugs. I'd been collecting or buying things for a lot of years, so I had stuff in storage, I had things. So for me, it was kind of editing and curating the things I bought. Obviously, there's not a lot of wall space in this apartment, and so I had to be very careful about what art. I have a lot of art in storage, so I couldn't hang it all. So I think it was kind of curating things that I had bought over time, editing down, and really finding a palette that kind of meshed the inside and the outside and kind of brought the whole apartment together. Because when you're dealing with a small space, you don't want things to be jarring. You want it to be continuous and kind of harmonious. And I think that was the biggest design challenge in this apartment. This is a smaller one-bedroom apartment, so I wanted it to feel the expanse. It has high ceilings and this beautiful light and beautiful windows. So I kind of took off the color palette of the rest of the apartment and kept this room a little more minimalist and black and white with less color. The walls are a soft gray, and all the cabinetry is done in a high gloss, beautiful lacquer, which again gives a reflective quality, and it ties your eye into the lacquer cabinetry in the kitchen. Just to give you a continuity. This was all bespoke. We had it made. Again, thought a great deal about storage, shoes, shirts. This is drawers in here. So you can open it up, and I have a whole nother set of drawers. Also needed a chest of drawers for additional storage. This is an old Italian chest that I bought years ago at an auction in Chicago. Kind of neoclassical, probably very simple, probably from north of Italy, which I love. This is a 1960s mirror that I bought from C.J. Peters. And then these are Nancy Loren's little mirrors that came from Liz O'Brien. So I kind of made this like a kind of my idea of my wall of mirrors at Versailles. This is one of my favorite pieces. It's an artist called Ray Johnson. He's not as well known, but he's very well known within the artist community. A lot of artists' collections have his work. And Frances Beatty had a beautiful show at her gallery, and I bought this piece. It's a portrait of Emily Dickinson, which I also love since I was an English major. And I just love the singularity of it on this wall. It's very strong, so it can carry the wall. With these beautiful mirrors, which are also kind of works of art in themselves by Nancy Lorenz. And I think this is by Sejan and something. They made these mirrors in the 60s. Again, I have too many books, and I've slowly started to just pile them up on the ground, which some people might say is clutter, but for me, it works. These are Robert Keim wall lights. I did a custom lampshade on them with a custom trim. Again, what I've tried to do in the apartment, you have these beautiful black iron criddle windows, or steel. And what I love is how I'm looking at the back of a sofa, but all the colors and the stripes and the green wall kind of mimic what's happening in the interior of the apartment. This is a beautiful CNC Milano bedspread. This is a vintage Suzanne pillow. And then this is a great photograph of Lilies of the Valley. It's by Ines and Banu. They're famous photographers, not really known for their flower portraits, but they had a show at Gagosian. And it just had a lot of meaning for me because growing up in Wisconsin, we had a screen porch, and Wisconsin winters were long and cold and tons of snow. And every spring, this field of lilies of the valley would come up on the side of our screen porch. And so hence this piece of art, which is actually a photograph, which I love. What I think is special about this apartment is I have this window here where I get beautiful morning east light, and it mimics to this window in the kitchen where I get beautiful west light at the end of the day. And this access point is so nice, but I also like to be able to close it off. So I have a pocket door here. And pocket doors are great when you're tight on space if you have the room to fit them in, because doors would have kind of encumbered here. I also lacquered this little alcove here, which also, again, brings the light, gives you a feeling of space and height right here. And then if you come through here to the closet and the bathroom, I also have French pocket doors that go here, so I can close these off. This is my bathroom again. Materiality was a big thing. I carried the same marble that's in the kitchen in here, and I lacquered the front of the vanity. Here I used a little Corian, but I kept it really simple. I just wanted a very simple bathroom. Again, you have the ceiling. I love that you have the window in the shower, and that's my bathroom. We're about to go into the magical Gramercy Park with our key, and we're waiting for the elevator. And this is my elevator lobby in my 1920s Emery Roth building. Little Syrian chest. The floor is terrazzo, it's original. Actually, it's one of the few original things on this floor, which is nice with the mahogany elevator door. And it was pea green. I just painted it a little pharaoh ball to match the terrazzo. And just took that stuff out of storage. This chest was in storage. These photophores were in storage. This is a little Renica Dykstra photograph that I bought from Marion Goodman Gallery years ago. And I had some green plants in here, but it doesn't do well. So now we just have some orchids. Yeah, it's funny, when I renovated the apartment, I wasn't able to do anything with the elevator lobby. So recently I've been able to just kind of spruce it up with some objects and pieces from storage. And it makes me a lot happier when I walk into my apartment and I arrive on the 18th floor. This is the big key to the private Gramercy Park, and you have to live on the park to be able to get a key. Our building has one on this beautiful key. What would you call that? A key block? And I'm going to take you into the park right now. Come with me. So we are in Gramercy Park. It's a beautiful little alcove in the middle of the city. It's just, I don't know, I always feel like I'm transported into another world when I come to this neighborhood. I get off the bustling streets of New York and I take a left on 21st Street and I walk around the park. It has a kind of magical, and as if time kind of has stood still for a moment. I love these little like side alleys on each side of the park with the park benches. It's just kind of a great moment to kind of sit and listen to the birds. Watch the light come through the leaves of these trees. The Gramercy Park Hotel was here, which was amazing, right to the right. It had Maialino, which was a great Italian restaurant in it, and there was always a fire in the wintertime, fun bar. But it closed, unfortunately, right before COVID, and now a new hotel is opening. The TWA Hotel is supposed to be opening a new hotel there, but it doesn't look like much work is going on there right now. Well, this is the central access of the park. You're coming from the west side, from Gramercy Park West, where we entered. And this kind of brings you to the central access, which runs into Lexington on one side and Irving. So why don't you come with me and we'll walk to the center of Gramercy Park. There's your ode to Samuel Ruggles, who founder of Gramercy Park, founded it in 1831. So this gravel path kind of takes you to the central access of Gramercy Park. What I love is this center area. You look uptown towards Lexington Avenue, and you have the Chrysler building sitting there right past your view, and it's lit up at night. And if you turn looking south on the central access, you have Irving Place. I think just the peacefulness and the quietness of just being, it's just the green and the peacefulness, and I feel like it's been preserved really well by Arlene Harrison, and she really works on keeping the neighborhood, keeping the park beautiful, keeping the neighborhood safe. I know it's a privilege to have a private park in New York, so it's controversial, but it's totally funded by the Gramercy Park Association and the neighbors that run there. There's no city money for the park. It's just a very, very special place. Home to me is really, there's something about coming into this apartment where I feel like I'm in a bit of a cocoon. I love the size of it. I love the simplicity of it. And I just love, I could come up here for a weekend. I'm part introvert, part extrovert. And I could come up here for a weekend. I could say that Ollie's ill and cancel my social plans, which is really a bad thing to do, and just read books and watch documentaries, sit on the terrace, hang out here all weekend, and be totally, utterly happy.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Jacques. This is my wife,
Charlene, and this is our New York City apartment.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, Homeworthy. My name is Charlene Trong-Launer. I am a content creator focusing mostly on lifestyle, beauty, fashion, cooking, and all things home.
Hi, my name is Jacques Launer. I used to work in finance for 17 years, and now I'm actually focused on building our pajama brand, which will be coming out in the next few months, so watch the space, and welcome to our New York apartment.
So Jacques actually found this apartment on Street Easy, and it was holiday season. I remember you found it when I was actually out of town. I was in Arizona visiting my parents for the holidays, and Jacques was staying back for work, and he was supposed to meet me in Arizona to spend the holidays with my family. And he had messaged me saying that he found this too good to be true condo in Tribeca, and he did a tour with a broker, a real estate agent, and took videos. I was on FaceTime, and he was like, this is our home.
We were actually living in Brooklyn at the time, so this was like peak COVID. We moved to Brooklyn from, where did we live, Flatiron in 2020. It was like April 2020 when the world was still shut down, and movers were the first human beings we'd seen in New York for like 3 months. And we actually wanted to stay in Brooklyn. We were trying to find an old sort of brownstone townhouse in either Williamsburg or Greenpoint, but I think that's when Brooklyn started getting pretty crazy, and it was just so expensive to try to buy a place. And we always wanted to do a reno to kind of make it our own and kind of a reflection of us. And so we'd been looking for a minute, and like Shar said, I stumbled upon this place back in the city in Tribeca, and I was like, wait, this seems like way too good to be true. What's the catch? So that was kind of scary, but it all worked out. Bought it sight unseen for Shar, and yeah, we closed I think like a few months later.
This is our kitchen. I would say this is our favorite part of the home because we love food, we love entertaining, I love cooking, and I just feel like the kitchen kind of brings everyone together. So initially when we moved in, we were not going to renovate the kitchen. How did we even start doing this?
Well, the kitchen was always important. If you saw how this looked like before.
It wasn't ugly.
Yeah, it wasn't ugly. It was just a little dated, and it didn't, maximize the space very well.
It just was very basic.
Yeah.
It was, what was the material of the cabinets? It was laminate?
It was a laminate.
It was laminate. It was very bright and airy, but we just wanted something more substantial and beautiful because we bought this place and we just kind of wanted to customize it. So kind of one thing led to another. We were like, oh, should we do marble? We just found this slab, and this is called Calicata Paonazzo, and it just has this beautiful gold-ish warm tone veining. It kind of reminds me of an oyster, and we fell in love with the slab, and we were like, okay, we're just gonna do it. We should just renovate the kitchen. So we actually ended up ripping out the kitchen island. We made it a little bit bigger. We ripped out basically all the cabinets, did these beautiful bleached white oak cabinets, got these unlacquered gold knobs that every time you touch with the oils of your hand and water, it kind of patinas into this beautiful kind of worn in gold, and we love that feature. I mean, I love this kitchen. Yeah. We spend so much time in it, and we got new appliances, this beautiful Wolf oven and stove. And then one of our favorite parts of the kitchen that we thought was such a worthy splurge was this Miele coffee machine, which I can brew you a cup of coffee if you want, anything. Cappuccino, an espresso, lattes, anything you want. And it's just with a simple touch of a button, and you can get barista quality coffee.
So all the marble came from one slab that we got from ABC Stone, I believe, here locally in the city.
We had this installed. I feel like this kind of marble shelf was trending, and I kind of like having all my little knickknacks displayed, which was fun. So this is one whole piece, and then we decided that we wanted some down lighting just to create a little bit of more moody aesthetic. If we have the lights off, or if it's nighttime, this little strip here just adds so much kind of romance to the kitchen, and it's really, really cute at night. But we also installed a light here and then one under here that runs all the way through.
Yeah, you'll notice that throughout the house, we have these LED strips, and it's all the same color. So there's kind of a consistent theme. So you see it under the bar cabinets, sort of that recessed lighting. Just to give some warmth to the space. Speaking of the bar, actually, if you notice that wine fridge over there, that wine fridge was actually originally here, under on this side, but there was this sort of empty space, and this column, which is original to the building.
This building used to be an old
textile factory. Back in the late 1800s, 1900s. Actually, I think this was the whole mercantile district back in the late 18th, early 19th century. So all the buildings on Worth Street. So yeah, the street used to be all old textile factories. So this is original to the building, and so we had all this like empty space. We didn't know what to do with it, so we actually had this bar fabricated. The yoke, I believe, is the same as all the rest of the cabinets, the under lighting, and then we just ran power behind the wall and put the wine fridge there and turned this into a little bar space for all the wines and evening goodies.
Jacques always in charge of the cocktails, the wine. I make like bites to eat, and yeah, we love it. So this is kind of a fun story. So Jacques mentioned earlier that this is part of kind of like the building itself, because it used to be an old textile building. When we bought this place, this was bright neon orange and it was such a eyesore. And so I kind of had the idea to strip it down, and our contractor tried stripping it down, but there were just so much layers of paint that we couldn't really get it off. So I looked up and found Portola paints. They have this kind of like faux iron color paint that gave it kind of like an iron, wrought iron finish. And we tested a little patch on it and it just looked really yucky. And this actually is the base coat of that wrought iron paint. And we ended up really, really liking it because it's like black, but it's not too black. It's a little bit matte, it's not shiny. And we just decided to keep it like this. And we sealed it with a layer of coating to preserve kind of like this finish, and we love it. These are Pottery Barn bar stools that we got, and it didn't come with a cushion or anything. And when I sat on it, it kind of just hurts your butt. So I was like, we need to do built-in or custom. We need to do custom cushions. And so we had our interior designer help us create this with our upholsterer, and they drew up this exact cushioning that fits perfectly into our chair. And now it just adds that pop of Tiger Mountain print, and it's really comfortable to sit in.
I think natural light is everything. That was especially important for Shar, who's the content creator, right? And so lighting is I think, top of the list in terms of, I don't want to say production value. We're fortunate that we actually have a corner unit, so we get different lighting in all the rooms at different times of the day. So in the morning, you get this really beautiful natural light, which hits our office in the living room, and throughout the day, it kind of goes over that way. And so when the sun is setting, you actually get a really nice transition in the bedroom. But I mean, we're not really in the master bedroom, during the sunset, but it's just nice to have. And lighting was super important when we were trying to find a good place as well.
So when we bought this place, the original owner had a little circular dining table in that corner over here. And my dream was to have like a 8-person dining table. And so we decided that we're gonna kind of like sneak this dining table in so that we can have friends and family over to all be able to eat around the same table. And Jacques and I, sometimes we even just sit here and do takeout, and it's cute. But
yeah, it's nice to have dining options. And we had grand ideas for hosting for Thanksgiving, Christmas, or whatever other holiday you guys want to celebrate. The room itself, obviously it's big, but we wanted an even grander dining room situation. So this was like a good way to have both and not make the room feel too small and cluttered. These benches, they roll, so you can push them in under, and so it's almost like you
tuck
can't
them completely under, really, if you want to.
Yeah,
Tuck
if you really
them
want to
like
get
this.
rid of it and open up the space a little bit. So it's a versatile piece, and how often are you hosting, right? A year, only a few times a year. So it's nice to give us the option to host, but also not just have giant pieces that just
Are in the way.
for the times that you're not hosting. Yeah. Actually, did you a disservice, Shar. I have 2 pieces of items left from my my old single days. This, I think I actually got this from our house maybe like 9-10 years ago, and I never knew what to do with it. I just always thought it was like a cool piece because it's like I don't even know if it's like a vintage mirror or what, but it's I've just had it for 10 years, and I've never hung it up in any home that we've lived in or on any wall. And we kind of had this like big column looking thing, and it just kind of fit perfectly there. And yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
It looks pretty.
Yeah. So this and the office chair are the two things I still own.
So this is one of the dining chairs. We have one on either side just to mix in with the benches. And this is called a wishbone chair. I'm sure a lot of people know what this is, but it's just a very popular kind of like design shape chair that a lot of people love right now. And then we decided to put these like sheepskin from Jenny Kane over top just to create a little bit more of a cozy feeling for when you're sitting down and having a meal. But yeah, we liked mixing the wood together with the browns, and it's like perfectly imperfect, and I love the curation. Yeah, we wanted a neutral home, but we loved having pops of browns and warm tones. So we have obviously like all of the living room couch cushions. We wanted to mix in a little bit of more pattern and material. So we have like the darks from the browns, and then we also got these custom made eggplant color artwork that just brings in a little bit more color to the room. And then these little poofs with the fringe also add like a fun color element and texture element with the fringe. And then this little chair, Jacques loves this chair. It's really, really comfortable, and it has like a footrest, and he just sits on here, plays on his phone, and it's just nice.
Has a glass of wine or a cocktail.
Yeah. And I love it. It just adds kind of like a warm, cozy feeling. We wanted everything to be very aesthetically pleasing, but also very inviting and cozy. And yeah, I spend a lot of time here.
Yes.
You do too.
Yeah.
But we watch movies, and whenever we have friends over, after we eat and after we have our drinks, we'll all pile onto the couch and watch music videos and play music and watch TV and movies. So everybody loves the living room. This is a travertine coffee table that we got from Etsy. It was made in Italy and shipped to us. It's very, very heavy and took a lot of grown men to carry it up here. But it's one slab of travertine, and then underneath there are 4 solid pillars of travertine as well that hold it together. And you can kind of customize it how you want. So you can place the pillars on either 4 corners, but the way that he designed it was clumped together in the center. So it kind of looks like a floating piece of travertine in the middle of your apartment.
Our designer suggested we, 1, take care of that first, but 2, I guess it's easier to build a room around a rug because that's such a prominent piece. Mm-hmm. So she actually custom drew this rug and had a company here in New York. I don't know I blank on the name, but this was, I think, like a mix of like
multiple fibers.
Yeah, like from Nepal, something really splurgy, just because it's such an important piece to the room.
And we handpicked the color of like the lines too, because I wanted something that kind of pulls from like the warmth of the furniture that we were picking at the time. So it's like just kind of like this beautiful brown color. And then the fringe was also a color that we handpicked with Lauren, but it's so beautiful. I just loved, one of the things that I really wanted for this rug was it to be organic. So if you look closely, like the fibers, there's multiple different fibers in the way that they shave the rug to have kind of like this textured look. But yeah, it's custom made, fit exactly to our living room, and we wanted a color that was neutral enough that kind of blended in with the wood floors, but also makes it a little bit cozier and stand out a little bit more. Right after we got married.
After marriage,
yeah.
we went straight into renovation. Mm-hmm. We already had like some plans of like what was going to happen, but we obviously just got married, mm-hmm. doing a reno,
moving, like packing with boxes, moving here.
Mm-hmm. Trying to, obviously like save a few bucks and try to put as much of it back into the renovation. This is a 3-bedroom. There's only just 2 of us, so we thought we could kind of like move around the various rooms, and
we did.
And we did. The designer and our contractors were great about
helping us
move, allowing us to live through the renovation. Mm-hmm. They sealed off of the construction area versus like the room that we were staying in for a few weeks at the time. So it was actually pretty seamless. I learned a heck of a lot through it too, which I thought was great.
Yeah.
Would we do it again? I don't think so.
Is it weird that I would do it again? I kind of miss it.
Yeah.
But we were like sleeping, I mean, we still had our bed. We were just moving from like room to room.
Yeah.
All of our clothes were stacked. We bought like these, what is it? The U-line, like the U-line huge
Hangers,
racks.
yeah.
And we put all of our clothes on there. Everything was still in boxes. It was a mess.
Yeah.
But
So
it
worth
was
it.
so fun because we got to see everything. Like we got to see everything that they did. So I feel like we learned a lot.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
it was
learned a
kind
lot.
of nice to see our home coming to life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many months did it take? I want to say like
Less than a year.
Yeah, less than a year.
Yeah.
I'd say one thing that's a consistent theme throughout the house is lighting. So one thing we actually did is we replaced all the ceiling lights just because the colors weren't very good with the...
It wasn't warm. It was very like cool toned. And we wanted like a warmer light to kind of like invite guests into our home. And another thing that we added that made it warm was this beautiful wallpaper. So it kind of is very warm, and like as soon as you walk in, you're kind of just like wrapped in this warmth, cozy texture of the beautiful fabric wallpaper. So this runner is a one of a kind. I don't remember if it's vintage or not, but I know that it's one of a kind, and we loved it because it just kind of has like a light and airy colorway, but then it has this kind of beautiful blue design on it, and then the fringe was really fun too. So again, we wanted a runner to invite people in leading into our kitchen. And then for the entryway situation, we found this beautiful faux gold statement mirror, actually from Home Depot, which is so random. But I just feel like the zigzag edges just kind of add like an interesting character to the entryway. And then we also got this bench, so sometimes if we have our parents over, they'll sit here and put on their shoes. This little lamp is cute. Target base, Etsy, vintage little wood thing. And then this basket, I actually hide all of my PR stuff in here because it gets kind of crazy if I just leave it overflowing here. So I got this huge basket to just kind of like put everything in there. This is a beautiful artwork that Charlotte Hailstone made. She's a friend of our interior designer, and Jacques and I are not really big art people. Like we don't really know much about art, but we know what we like and we know what we don't like. And when we saw her work, we just thought it was so perfect because it's very simple, it's abstract, but it's warm, and it just kind of adds this warm, dark pop of color into our home. And again, it's just very welcoming and gives you kind of like a warm hug as soon as you walk through. I got rid of all of Jacques' old furniture. So I feel like this is like the first home that we got to design and decorate with our things and not just like bits and pieces of
My old
a
life.
lot of Jacques' bachelor cave furniture and things. But
I had nice furniture, by the way, for the record.
everything was very dark. It was not airy. He had these like wooden iron bookshelves that I just despise, and there were three of them. There were two or three of them, and they're so heavy. And we dragged those bookshelves. We dragged those bookshelves everywhere to all the apartments that we moved in together. And when we moved here, I was just like, we're gonna get rid of it.
Yeah. So,
And then now we have curated this home, and the furniture is exactly how I like it.
so it took 7 years to get rid of all my stuff, is what she's saying. And the only thing I think I have left is my chair in the office. And right off the entryway is the little office / man cave, which is completely different to the rest of the house, as you're about to see. I'll start with this artwork, which is also custom, I guess, one of a kind from Charlotte Hailstone. I really like her work, and I like the graffiti kind of like aspect to it, and you know, it gives a little pop of color in a room that's otherwise a little darker and moodier. We have the bike. It's on the floor. It's no longer hanging from the walls of our other apartments, but You know, this is the exercise machine. I hate the gym, and I'll ride 365 days of the year. Rain, sun, snow, outside.
His favorite hobby.
Yeah.
You rode like 100 miles the other day, didn't you?
Yeah. It's like, I think it's a good midlife crisis. Want to get into the best shape of my life type of hobby, and you know, I guess there's worse vices to have than exercise. So this is the office slash man cave. It's very different from the rest of the house. The rest of the house is brighter, warmer, and I kind of wanted something that's a little darker, moodier at night. You know, I can dim the lights, turn on some music, you know, have a glass of wine in here. This is also, could be a guest room. That sofa right there is actually a pull-out mattress. So if we have guests over and we need extra space, that's easy to kind of transition to, and it's really nice and comfortable. But I wanted something darker, a little bit more masculine in here. So the wallpaper, it's actually like a fabric textured kind of wallpaper. So at different times of the day, the way the light hits, it actually reads kind of different. So this little, I guess you can call it kind of like a little coffee table, is one piece. It's Calicata marble viola on top with some base. It's not super heavy, so you can kind of move it around when you have guests over and you have the pull-out couch. But I was kind of going for something a little darker, more kind of like swanky cocktail vibes, as well as just being, you know, a regular old office. This chair has been with me for 10 years. Actually, that chest over there too, that's been around. So I guess that takes us to three items that I've had since I first met.
So when we moved in, our initial plan was to not do a lot of renovations. Everything was kind of like giving it a little fresh paint or new furniture. And so we got introduced to our interior designer, who's absolutely wonderful. Her name is Lauren Stone. And she helped us kind of create this cohesiveness with our home. And then one thing led to another, and we slowly renovated different parts of the home that we didn't expect to. For example, the kitchen, we gutted everything. But the process of it was really fun because I got to send in a mood board that we both kind of like looked at and agreed upon, a mood board of like the colors, the aesthetic that we wanted. And then she took that mood board and translated it into a game plan of everything that we were gonna do for the home. So she curated furniture, colors for the walls, and then utilized the furniture that we had previously from our apartment and was able to mesh it together and create this beautiful home that I feel like translates so much into Jacques and I's personality. Right off the hallway, away from Jacques' man cave, I have my woman cave that I recently transitioned into my content creation room.
And in the woman cave, we actually have a fourth item from my past that is still here. So.
So I get a little bit more credit.
Yes.
Like from one pieces to four. This is my content creation room. It used to be a guest room. We had a full bed here that used to be in Jacques' old apartment actually, and then we got rid of it just because we felt like we didn't really have a lot of friends and family that would stay over, and this room happens to get some of the best lighting in the whole apartment. And obviously I'm doing full-time content creation, and I wanted a space that I can just get messy and, you know, have clothes everywhere and film content. So we have this dresser that we got. It used to be in our primary bedroom in our old apartment in Brooklyn, and now it's here. And then this artwork used to be it was ordered for the closet in our primary bedroom, but it didn't really fit there anymore, so we put it here. We recently got it framed after like 2 years, and I actually think it adds like a really nice touch to the backdrop whenever I take my photos in the mirror behind you. This is an old CB2 mirror that I've had for a long time. It's very, very nice and big, so this is where I do my like photos. I have my light and tripod here. But yeah, I've been using this room a lot for content creation, and it makes me love making more videos because now I have like a designated space. And one day when we have a baby, this is gonna be the baby room. So I am, I would say, a lifestyle content creator. I do pretty much everything. I do cooking, beauty, lifestyle, vlogs, date nights, fashion, and I kind of just do everything all together because I feel like that really defines who I am in real life. I like to cook, I like to be home, I love, all the things. So I kind of just mash everything together and share it online.
It was Super Bowl Sunday, 2017. We met at a wonderful establishment in Murray Hill. If you know us well, I thought it was probably like the last time we were in Murray Hill together. No offense to Murray Hill. It was Super Bowl Sunday. It's the Pats Falcons. Me and a couple friends were trying to watch the game at other bars. It wasn't, they were all full. Friend of a friend knew the bartender there, saved us some seats. We got there probably later in the afternoon, and all my friends were taken, and I was the only single guy. So there were a couple.
Sat at the end.
Yep, I sat at the end.
Yeah.
There were a couple of empty seats next to us, conveniently, and then.
And I remember vividly on that Sunday, I was going home from Trader Joe's, and I get a text from my girlfriends at the time, and they're like, "Do you want to meet us at this bar for some buffalo chicken wings for Super Bowl Sunday?" And I'm not a football girl, so I was like, "Sure, chicken wings, you got me there." So I go and I get ready and I go meet them. There was one open seat at the bar next to my girlfriends, and it happened to be next to Jacques. And then we just kicked it off and had our first date a week later. And then from that point on, we just have been inseparable.
Actually, let me add one little tidbit, true story. The bartender, shout out Bobby, ordered a round of shots for Shar and her girlfriends. No idea, I had no idea. And then he, good man, said they were from me, and that kind of was what sparked up the conversation. I was pretending to watch golf on the big screens, and if you know me, I hate golf.
You're watching golf on Super Bowl Sunday.
On Super Bowl Sunday, just because it was like golf was on the left, and just so I could kind of like get
have a little sneak
Sneak
girls
peek.
on the left side.
Well, not girls, girl, you. Actually, our first date, was it Valentine's Day?
Second date.
Second date?
Yeah.
Second date was Valentine's Day.
It's kind of all a blur now,
Yeah.
to be honest. It's like almost 8 years ago. Yeah.
Ancient.
So now we are walking into the primary bedroom, and this hallway is kind of like my closet dressing area. I don't have a walk-in closet. One day I will, but I do now have all of this closet. So we got these beautiful doors custom made. It used to just be, your basic door that opens up kind of like that way. And it was just very clunky, very heavy, and I wasn't able to see all my clothes at once. So I had the idea to get kind of like these accordion doors made so that I can have both of the doors open and I can see all my clothes at once and all my bags at once. And one thing that I really loved about the panel is that we put wallpaper on it, so it kind of looks like it's upholstered, but it's not. And it's a cheaper option as well, because these were custom made, but you can also buy, I think IKEA sells panels that look exactly like this, and then you can wallpaper to kind of give it that beautiful, warm, upholstered effect. But this is my closet, and I love it. I go through favorite pieces on rotation. I'll have like one thing that I love, and then I'll just rotate. But I typically love dressing very comfortable, so anything flowy, loose jeans. I like kind of dressing simple, and then for like special occasions, date nights, girls' night out, I'll put on a more fun outfit. For date night, I think my go-to, if Jacques was wearing like jeans and t-shirt like this and we're going to, I don't know, a restaurant that we both love, I would probably wear high-waist loose jeans, a stiletto boot, and some type of top, and then a coat over. And I always like slicking my hair back in a bun because it just makes me feel sexy, and chunky earrings, and that is kind of like my perfect date night outfit. So this, I kind of finagled my way into getting these two pieces. And by finagling, I mean asking Jacques for approval for this one and then not really asking him for approval for this one. I just ordered it. A girl can never have enough closet space. So I had to get this from Amazon. I think it was like $300. And we switched out the knobs so that I can put more clothes in here. I mean, it's a mess in here, but like all of my sweaters and sweat sets are in here. And yeah, it just hides a lot of clutter. And then this was a DIY. So this whole entire bookcase was from IKEA. And we had leftover wallpaper from the contractor. So Jacques and I DIY'd this. I mean, you can kind of see like the little bubbling here. It's not as crisp, but it does the job. And we put the ugly panels on the bottom so that you wouldn't really notice it. But I have all my shoes in here. I don't know how I fit all this stuff in the other closet, but it just expanded as soon as I had this bookcase. All my shoes are in there.
The irony is, when we moved in, we thought we had a lot of closet space.
Yeah, and then I
Lo and behold,
grew into it. This is a gigantic mirror. I think I found this actually from Crate & Barrel, and my first thing that I thought about it was that it's just huge, and I love it for my outfit pictures, for Instagram, and I just really like the black contrast, thick frame, and this kind of like interesting little detail up here, but we had it secured properly to the wall so it wouldn't tip over because it's a very heavy piece. But I kind of just thought that this dark black contrast to everything bright and airy was kind of nice to bring in a little bit of masculinity to introduce you into the bedroom.
it's kind of like the black column we have in the living room.
Yeah,
if you think about
that's
it.
true.
Yeah. We have like pops of like black accent to contrast with the warmth and neutral tones.
Yeah.
Too.
We got married in 2022. It feels like ages ago. And we decided to get married in Arizona because a lot of my family was from there. And also a lot of Jacques' family and friends are from the East Coast. So at the time we just thought it would be nice to bring everybody to the West Coast where the weather was beautiful. And we actually got really lucky with the weather. It was like 75, sunny, breezy, beautiful. And everybody was so happy. All of our friends flew in, family flew in. And we got married at the Four Seasons Troon. Beautiful venue. And our ceremony, how many people did we have?
I think like 170 was the final
170. It was, I think, the perfect amount of people because it felt grand but still cozy. And I feel like that day just kind of encapsulated our relationship. Speaking of the bedroom, this is another favorite place of ours. It's very serene.
And this wallpaper, actually, funny enough, was installed by the prior owner, but we loved it so much that we decided to keep it.
It's actually one of the things that people ask me about the most is the wallpaper. They're like, what is on your walls? They're so beautiful.
It feels like
a woven kind of like material. So it's really cool. And it just adds like extra warmth to it. So I feel like this kind of like set the tone for what we wanted our bedroom to be, and it kind of happened to fit exactly into the vibe that we were going for.
Bed is a Restoration Hardware. Was it RH? Yeah, it was Restoration Hardware. We wanted a king size bed, and so we got this beautiful. I think it's velvet or suede.
Velvet.
Yeah.
So this is our king size bed. We got to upgrade from a queen size to a king size, which was really exciting. After laying in a king size bed for a while, we're like, how did we fit in a queen size bed? And it's kind of nice. But we wanted our bed to kind of feel like a hotel. So we really splurged on this really fluffy down comforter. It's by the brand Simply Down, and it's definitely not cheap, but it really gives that like hotel fluffy bedding experience, especially when you climb into bed at the end of the night. This beautiful quilt is from Jenny Kane. I love the texture and the warmth and coziness it adds to the bed. This little lumbar pillow was custom made from Etsy, and the color is just really, really cute. Our interior designer found this one.
That's a custom one? I didn't realize.
They have like a lot of different colorways, but we custom colored like these two.
Oh, Etsy.
Yeah, Etsy has the best stuff. This I found online. It's by Hale Mercantile, and it just so happens to fit the bed coloring perfectly.
It's very fluffy. I think like the running joke with our designer was like, we need something that's like kitty cat soft.
Yeah.
Right, so something that you can kind of like take your, shoes and socks off and just kind of run your feet through it.
We're an Asian household, so no shoes anywhere in the house, but yeah, but it is very soft. It's from ABC Carpet, and again, it's just...
Yeah, I think it was a 101.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, we definitely wanted to make the bedroom as cozy and serene as possible. Even though we have this ginormous TV, it was actually from our previous apartment, but...
In the living room.
Yeah, in the living room, but funny enough, we actually never watch TV in here.
No,
yeah.
we don't.
We wanted to bring in a little bit of darkness into the bedroom, so we got this also from Restoration Hardware. A lot of our furniture is Restoration Hardware, and we found that Restoration Hardware has a lot of variety of sizes. So we wanted like a substantial TV console, and a lot of places I feel like didn't have one that was long enough for this wall. So we found this from Restoration Hardware, and we thought it was perfect. This lamp also was not supposed to be here. I think I bought this when Athena Calderon had her collab with Crate and Barrel, and I just bought it because I loved it so much, and then I propped it up here, and my interior designer was like, wait a minute, I love that here. So it is sitting here, and I just like this kind of like little area with the rattan. I feel like it adds kind of like a fun texture element to it.
You know, another thing that we installed is, what do you call it?
Blackout shade.
Blackout shades, but also like electric, right? So everything that I wanted in the house, I wanted to be able to be on our phones and smart. So we did a lot of that stuff. So we literally have a scene called the wake up scene on our phones, where it lifts the blinds and turns on some of the lights in the hallway. And we wake up to this beautiful natural New York skyline. We're above the roof line there, so we still get good natural light in the morning. And thankfully we'll never lose that light, because that's a building that can't ever be raised, because it's, I think, historically significant. And yeah, we open the blinds. That's our morning.
We have this beautiful chandelier in here, and it's from Lulu in Georgia. Our interior designer gave us multiple options, and we narrowed it down to this one because it tied in with the color of the bed frame. It's light and airy, and I just felt like it added like another fun texture to the room. We have this little side table here and a cute little stool. I would have never thought to put this kind of like situation here, but our interior designer came up with it, and I just thought it was really cute because it's a nice moment to put fresh flowers if we have, these are fake, but fresh flowers if we have, a candle, and a little bowl for jewelry, and it's just kind of like a cute little situation next to the bed.
And now, this is the master bath. We actually did a little bit of not a full reno in here, but we did a partial reno in here. Initially, the whole back wall was that mirror right there itself, but it went all the way across. And it had this, no offense, this ugly ass cornice on top of it, which we had to, remove and rip out. And actually the hardest part was finding stone tile to match it, because these are actually two different slabs, so we have to try to find something that matched that, because we had no idea where this was from. And then we redid the vanity. Everything is custom there, including the shelving, the lit mirror, and obviously the under cabinet lighting as well. Actually the shower was, it actually came like that. So the claw tub, highly recommend getting a tub that fits in your shower, because if you overflow it, it just drains in your shower. Yeah. You don't have to worry about it.
And everything gets really nice and steamy, so it's like a very spa experience.
Yeah.
You can have like a bubble bath, and then the steam from the shower creates kind of like a sauna feel. It's so nice.
Yeah, we love it in here.
Yeah.
So that's actually like a rain shower. I think the actual hardware is from Waterworks, but it came with the building, and I don't know how, for such an old building, but the water pressure here is insane. So that actually has the best shower, and if we ever leave this place, I'm taking it with me somehow.
Okay.
Home means family, right? I think marriage, a place for us to unwind. We're two of us right now, but we live, thankfully in a 3-bedroom that, you're trying to grow into over the years. And you know, this is I don't know, home, comfortable, our safe space where we get to be silly and goofy that, you know, not many people, or if anyone, gets to really see.
That side of us.
Yeah, that side of us.
I feel like, yeah, home is not about the place that you live in. I mean, of course it is, but it's important to have the people that you love in it, because a home with someone that you love is just so much cozier. It's nice to have this serene kind of place that we both get to spend so much time in the middle of a crazy, exciting, loud city. Yeah.
It's nice to have the option to do both.
Yeah.
That's not to say we don't go out. We still love to, you know, go out.
Yeah.
But, you know, we always say this, you know, if we're at home having a lazy day on the weekend, we like to go out just to be able to appreciate coming home again.
Yeah, that's so true.
Hi, Homeworthy. My name is Hannah. Welcome to my home in Clinton Hill, Brooklyn.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hello, Homeworthy. My name is Hannah Hemmerly, and welcome to my apartment in Clinton Hill, Brooklyn. I actually grew up in Brooklyn. This is what I like to call my dad's divorcee apartment that I now live in. I grew up both in Clinton Hill with my father and in Boerum Hill with my mom. Both of my parents are architects, so an awareness to the infrastructure of New York City has always been a very present influence in my life. And that kind of led me to my career in design as well. I'm obsessed with Clinton Hill. I have always loved Brooklyn, and it's been a huge part of my identity having grown up here. I did go to Minnesota for college, so that was a very different experience. And I miss New York so much, I came right back. I really can't imagine living anywhere else. It's just the community, the tree-lined streets, the brownstones. Brooklyn has this sense of community and warmth that it is hard to find anywhere else. New York can feel very overwhelming sometimes, and the hustle and bustle can be a lot. Even though I'm very used to it, having grown up here, I so appreciate coming home at the end of the day to tree-lined streets and brownstones and just families going on walks before dinner. It's very quaint and friendly. I find Brooklyn to be kind of the most European-esque United States location. So when we walk through the entryway, we come straight into the bar area. This is a Etsy poster that my boyfriend got. He loves Negronis, it's his favorite drink. This light actually was from my childhood bedroom. My mom got it for me when I was 12. I just wanted it as a reading nook light, and for some reason I've kept it all this time, and I've strung it up here on hooks. And this mirror's from my grandmother. After she died, I kind of took a lot of her artwork and decor items. Actually, this bar is also from my grandmother. It's an antique cabinet that's been refinished. So my mom has a matching desk in her house, so we have twin items. And then it's filled with bar books, Tom Dixon decanter, and all my poetry books. I don't know why, but I chose to lay them all on my bar cart. So when I had a roommate in this apartment, this is actually where the dining table was, which is really bad for this closet, which is where all of our bike storage is and all of our like outdoor gears. It's like the largest storage closet, and this needs access. So the goal was really just to open the space back up, and I want this furniture on display somewhere where it kind of makes sense. It's a larger piece of furniture and the apartment isn't enormous, so I felt that this was kind of enough to fill this little nook and create a moment here with a lot of items that actually have a history. None of these were kind of purchased for this space. We just put them together here and let them be really a bar area. Yeah. I did a bunch of drawings before my boyfriend moved in about how we wanted to lay everything out. So there was a moment in time where we were like, this is gonna be someone's desk because they're gonna need to work from home. And eventually, luckily, we both have a priority of aesthetics over utilitarian needs. So we decided that we were just gonna have a desk in our bedroom, and when my boyfriend works from home, he works from the dining room table. We just didn't want the space to feel cluttered. We really wanted it to feel like warm and cozy and a bit more styled, because we just didn't want there to be like a big open desk in the middle of our dining room. So it's totally fine. He basically keeps his laptop in the closet and brings it out every day. But that was his decision, I swear. I did not force him to do that. My boyfriend's favorite drink is a Negroni. I am very much a wine girl. I pretty much only drink wine. I love a red wine in particular, but these are actually the makings of my drink. If I have a drink, I do a Hendrick's Gin Dirty Martini. So I am, as I get older, more and more of a homebody. I do spend a lot of time in this apartment. Being a student at Pratt, I do a lot of my work here. I have a little office area set up in my bedroom, and I really prefer to kind of work in the comfort of my own home. Although obviously sometimes I need to go use the studio space because it's just better to complete projects. But my boyfriend does also work here a few days a week. He's still kind of part-time in office, part-time at home. But this is very much a relaxation space. I cannot wait at the end of the day to like sit with a glass of wine in my living room and leaf through a magazine. That to me is the most calming moment in my day. We did set this apartment up to be able to have dinner parties. Like that was a focal point. I've always loved being able to share food, wine with friends, and just have that be a main way that I socialize with my people. So actually where we're sitting right now, this is now the dining room, but it used to be the living room because that, which is now the living room, was a bedroom. So we kind of reoriented the space to allow for a larger entertaining area that we could actually use, bring friends into, sit, have charcuterie in the living room or what have you, and really be able to entertain, have friends over in the living spaces. So off of the bar area, we can move straight into the dining area, which is also our office flex space. But this dining area is really kind of the center. We actually sit and we eat dinner here every night. We kind of have that time where we put all our phones away and we just sit and we talk and kind of go over our day together. This has a lot of interesting pieces in it. The dining table is my grandmother's. All the dining chairs are new. Those are things that we purchased together. These are Saarinen knockoff chairs, and then these are Mario Bellini cab chairs, and all four of the chairs are from Lichen in Ridgewood. I love Lichen. I cannot say enough good things about them. So we did a mismatched chair assortment with the dining table. It wasn't necessarily planned that way. We more bought these two first because we had two other dining chairs and we needed four. But then we saw the Mario Bellini cab chairs on sale. They were at a very good price for the chairs. It's an item that has been like a wish list item of mine and something I always fantasize about getting. So honestly, it was a split decision. There was only two, and they both had the armchair. They were not just the dining chairs. And we called an Uber XL, bought them and brought them home. Like there's nothing beyond that other than I could not pass up having cab chairs in my house because I love them so much. And they're truly like vintage with the original tags and everything. They're really kind of worn, which I think is beautiful. The bookshelves are also from my grandmother. They were, when she was living in a nursing home, my mom got these from West Elm for her. I think West Elm still sells them, but I've just repurposed them for bookshelves in my apartment now today. The cactus is a boyfriend special. It's from Marnie. Marnie sells these like amazing plastic, I think it's a sculptures, but they also have chairs, side tables, what have you. It's very cool. And I guess when he was living in Greenwich Village, he was walking in meatpacking one day, saw it, and just couldn't resist. So now we have a cactus. These are all of my design books. I pillaged my dad's record collection, so I have all the records from him that I wanted, as well as some of my own that I've added to the collection. This is a friend of mine from summer camp, and she's an amazing photographer, so I have some of her artwork around. This is a sign. My grandmother was a fashion stylist, and so this was a fashion show that she put on, and that was the signage for the show. This is a poster that I got in Sevilla, Spain with my mom when I was 12 years old. This is from my grandmother. It's just Stuart Davis print, but I've always loved it. This is a Basquiat print that my boyfriend had printed on canvas, and then he framed it for himself, and that was the art he had in his first apartment in New York. This is a de Still clock. You can get them at the MoMA store. It was actually one of like the first pieces of wall decor I got myself when I moved into this apartment. I just wanted something funky and modern, and I'd always loved those clocks. I have no idea if it works. I should check about that. But here we have more. I love biographies and memoirs, so I recently read Anna Wintour and Grace Coddington's memoir. Those are my two most recent reads. Then when we turn over here, these are kind of interesting. There is a restaurant in Borum Hill, right where I grew up with my mom, that is no longer there. It is now Cafe Kitsune, which the neighborhood is really up in arms about, but it was building on Bond, and it was a great neighborhood restaurant, and they closed during COVID, and before Cafe Kitsune took over the space, they basically sold everything that was in the restaurant, and this is a painting from that restaurant, so my mom picked it up for me, and I love it. I love that there's water damage. I don't know, there's a lot of history to that piece, and it means a lot to me. And then this up here is actually a sketch I did in Rome. It's, I believe, an alleyway in Trastevere in Rome, but I studied abroad in Italy when I was in college, studying art history, so I had to keep kind of a drawing journal throughout that time. I have another cactus here. That was from a design event, and it's actually made with sound insulation. So because there's a running joke about our Marnie cactus, because my boyfriend likes to say that I don't like it, which is not entirely true. It's just I wouldn't have purchased it myself, but I still think it's really fun. I now get him cactus stuff whenever I find it as like a joke. So we have sound insulation cactus. And then over here we actually have another building on Bond special, which is my horse lamp. I painted her white. She's very silly. I don't know, it's just so kitschy, but I keep her around. She adds a little spice to the room. And then more books, and my favorite view where we can see skyline. But when my boyfriend and I moved in, it was really, we could kind of make the space however we wanted it. We talked about, did we want a TV room? Like, did we want this still to be the living space? But we kept coming back to like, it is a New York apartment, and it's so rare that you can have a dining room. And I had this dining table from my grandmother, and it had kind of been like shoved in the corner for 2 years. And I really just wanted to make this feel like somewhere a family could sit and have a meal at the end of the day, because we are big, we cook a lot, and like we'll make pasta from scratch. Like, he's Italian, we're big eaters in this household. So we just love to like have friends over, or even just the two of us. Our parents have come over for dinner before. Like, we love to really cook a meal and share that meal, and like have music playing, have the record player on. Like, my dining room growing up with my mom, there was huge built-in bookcases all around the dining area. So I love to be like surrounded by books and art, and that being kind of the place where you share and talk at the end of your day and have your meal. And so that really was like the priority of wanting a dining room. So that is why we made the second bedroom into our kind of living room area. And the space feels so much bigger, so much more opened up with it as a dining area. I feel very, very lucky in New York City to have that. So this apartment is a mix of design books and sci-fi books. But these are kind of these are all my coffee table books that are not on the table. Every Christmas, both my parents each give me 1 to 2 coffee table books, so I have an ever-growing collection. I also my most recent indulgence was I went to McNally Jackson and I found this book, Inside Milan. It's amazing. I love it. If you're interested in like very authentic, interesting, and personalized interiors, it has amazing images of apartments in Milan. I love Italian design, so that influence is very much present in my home, I think, at least within books that I have, kind of New York design books, Italian. I have a great Joe Ponti book over there. But my favorite book, probably of all, which I have been known to bring out at a dinner party, is Chair. And it is just a book of 500 famous chairs, and I love it so much. We have our de Still chair. Oh my God, what else? The classic Prague chair. It's just such a great encyclopedia of design. Chairs are such a fun way. They're like little functional sculptures. It's such an amazing opportunity for designers to create kind of a new way to hug the body and surround it. And I love chairs as like a design research and just understanding what has been done before. Like the Joe Colombo chair. Let's see, I'm sure you've seen this. They're just so iconic. Honestly, there's no other word to say. I love chairs. As I mentioned, I grew up in this apartment. This was the apartment I lived in with my dad, and it was originally a 1-bedroom apartment that he put the wall right behind me, through the living room to create a 2nd bedroom for me as a child, and then to make the dining area more of a flex living and dining space. So when I first moved into this apartment, I had a roommate who rented the 2nd bedroom, and then this was still our living area. And now that my boyfriend and I live here together, we've turned the 2nd bedroom into a living room. What was the living room is now what it was originally, which is a dining room. And then we live in the original bedroom of the apartment. This apartment looks very different than it did when I was a kid, but there actually have been very few changes. All I've done is painted it and replaced light fixtures. Like the kitchen is the kitchen my dad put in. It has the original parquet flooring. There's not much that's been done to this space, so a lot of the changes that were made were purely aesthetics to kind of make it my own. And even my dad says it looks completely different. So yeah, I've tried to make it my apartment very much, yeah. Welcome to my kitchen. This is the original IKEA kitchen that my dad put in. It's still around. I really haven't changed much other than putting in a light fixture. I like to call it my jungle kitchen. We did replace these are just laminate countertops, and so the countertop was broken before I moved in, and my dad was like, pick whatever laminate you want. So he just was putting in laminate, and I was like, well, if we're just doing a plastic countertop, let's go big or go home. So we went for the big jungle leaf pattern, which kind of drove. Then I put in a bamboo light fixture, kind of playing with these lighter wood elements, and then my fantasy is to put in my own stainless steel kitchen here, like a full stainless steel kitchen. I like to keep all my vases up here. I have another piece of artwork from a friend of mine, that's her photograph. And then this is from my grandmother. She had all of these like watercolor prints in her house. Even when my mom was growing up, I think my mom has a few of them, so I put that there. And then this, actually, when I moved in, my dad brought me. This was always in the kitchen when I was growing up here. I think that used to be over here. And so it's back in its rightful home. And then we also cannot ignore Ruth. We like to have her watching over us. And our little chair hook for our aprons. I spend a lot of time cooking in this kitchen. I just love like making meals. It's really my decompress, de-stress time of my day where I just like tune everything out and cook. So a lot of time is spent in this space. This kitchen is truly, it's just standard cabinets from IKEA. I think my dad bought this apartment in 2004, so he would have put them in around then. I think that IKEA still sells these cabinets, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if they make stainless steel anymore. All of these, the whole kitchen is just IKEA. It's every single cabinet is, and hardware is all from IKEA. I would like to put in a smaller island. I want to do stainless steel everywhere. I will upgrade the appliances. This is a tiny little range. Like you can't even put a full-size baking sheet in it. I think it's just 24 inches wide. So I will be getting a 30-inch wide range. And we have our little 18-inch dishwasher. Everything is tiny. Like this is the smallest sink that IKEA sells. I don't even think it's 18 inches wide. I think it's only 12 inches wide. It's very wet around here when dishes are done. There's a lot of wiping down that has to happen. But my fantasy is to redo this whole kitchen and then actually build out the hallway to enclose this column and put in a little coffee counter bar area that's an extension of the hallway and encloses the column so it's not as intrusive to the space, and then do a built-in banquette around the windows to kind of push the dining room open and allow for more circulation. And I'd tear that wall down. Just telling you all my plans. Both my parents, as I mentioned, are architects, and that very much influenced my career in design. I am finishing my MFA in interior design at Pratt right now, and this apartment has been a creative exercise outlet for me. I think my philosophy of design, of kind of using sentimental objects that have a personal history and a story, is very influenced from my mother and the apartment I grew up in with her, which was just lined with family furniture, Turkish rugs. It was always very warm. And most of the furniture I've used in this apartment, yes, I've acquired some things, and it's a mix of both my boyfriend and my furniture that we've had as young adults, but a lot of it is family heirlooms, including the artwork, and that has been a source of underlying kind of motif with how I take on a space. I want space to be personal and tell the story of your life. I like objects that have a history behind them, which maybe has to do with my undergraduate degree in art history as well. So that has been very much a focal point of this apartment, using objects that have both a family history and exploring my own aesthetic beyond the aesthetic that I learned from either of my parents. I would describe my style with a mix of both modern furniture pieces and vintage. I absolutely love mid-century modern design, particularly Italian design. I have a lot of Eames furniture in this apartment. I wanted also there to be a mix of more neutral elements as well as pops of color. I'm definitely not scared of color, and so I like to bring that in with kind of warmer wood tones, and having this room is kind of my most colorful space, which has a lot of colorful, fun, loud imagery with the artwork, and also like a Turkish rug underneath the dining table to really bring all the warm reds and blues and greens all together. So I would say kind of like vintage, modern, eclectic. I don't know if eclectic is the right way to describe my style, but I'm not scared to throw new and old together. I think that harmony can really happen when there is this kind of juxtaposition of style. I don't like a room to feel singular in its aesthetic. I like there to be a surprising element of a combination of two pieces that you wouldn't anticipate being placed next to one another, but when you see it together, it works and it creates a new point of view on those objects. Speaking of that wall, let me show you what's behind it. So this is our living area, seating room. We probably spend the most amount of time in here, actually. I love to just sit in here, and especially at the end of the day, and enjoy. It's our very calming, neutral space. So we have 2 vintage chairs facing the Mario Bellini love seat. This is a penguin chair, and it's from City Foundry in Industry City. And then this is an Eames dining chair, actually. It's an upholstered dining chair, but it's very comfortable. And I think it's from the Design Within Reach outlet. And then this glass and chrome coffee table is from Sujunk. They have a few locations in Brooklyn, but they have fun like home knickknacks and stuff. They're super, super nice. Highly recommend. And then this is a Noguchi lamp. This was actually a birthday present from my boyfriend because my first year of graduate school, I did a Noguchi project with school, and I did really fall in love with the lamps, and so he got one for my birthday, which was a very good present. Then these are kind of fun to call out because these are from, if anyone's ever been to the Poster Museum I think it's in Chelsea, they have like $7 really great like Art Deco posters or interesting posters. So you can just get them and frame them with like frames at Blick. So we have a few of those around the apartment. It was like a fun outing too. It was a date, we went to the Poster Museum, got some posters, and now we have some art in our home to remember it by. This painting in the center of the room is from my grandmother. It was over her bed, and I've just always loved it. It was so serene. I would probably say this kind of drove this room. This was the first thing I know I wanted in here, and it kind of is the center grounding element to this space. I love this coffee table. It's low. It's great for displaying coffee table books. That is from Lichen in Ridgewood as well. This is a Mario Bellini love seat. I love it so much. But it is small. This is a very small room, so we're pretty packed in. It's not really like you can lay out on a sectional, but nevertheless, still very comfortable. This is a Jonathan Robshaw stool. I have a matching one with my mom. We went up to Jonathan Robshaw in Connecticut and got a matching pair. I believe they're imported from, I don't know, he imports everything and has really great vintage, beautiful, like hand carved stuff, so highly recommend. This is my high school self-portrait. So that I think my mom had framed for me potentially when I graduated high school. And then I went to a school in Brooklyn that always had a craft fair for Christmas, and I bought that photo at it sometime in high school. I just was really drawn to it. I thought it was a beautiful way to show the reflection into windows, and windows are such a big part of our street life as New Yorkers. You kind of peer in and see the world that's within. So I just always loved that image. And then this is my magazine pillar. It has every Architectural Digest issue from 2015 to 2023 stacked in it. So, and then back here, behind, these are just IKEA curtains, very like simple way to soften a space. This is a vintage camera from an art class I once took. More books. I have a little sculpture from a sculpture class I took in college. This is potentially the most interesting thing back here, which is a site model from a class that I made. So this is what I do in graduate school. It was a brownstone project. So this is a site model from a project my second year of graduate school. The project was a residential project. It was a 4-story brownstone and a 3-car garage. And we essentially were given programs. We had to subdivide it into a multi-unit home. So that could be either like a communal living space, or what I actually decided to do is I used like Tetris pieces as my, I used the idea of subdividing it into different units. And I made 3 separate apartments for 3 different families within the house. So it's like Tetris pieces that lock together. And you can see the little stairs. This is my first unit, and then the second is a duplex that has a double height primary bedroom area down there. I didn't furnish this model. And then the top is a duplex as well, which is like for a young couple, it's more of like a lofted apartment with a skylight. Yeah. So that was a very fun project. I want to do residential architecture, so I had a lot of fun doing that one. So my boyfriend turned 30 last year, and so for his 30th birthday, I wanted to really get him something meaningful. And I made a poster on Photoshop. He is like a huge car guy, and he has his 10 top cars. And so I Photoshopped this poster with all of his 10 top favorite cars, and I had it framed for him for his 30th birthday. Then this is the wall of, I say this is like the family wall, because this is my drawing from graduate school. This is my dad's drawing from a recent trip to Italy that he took. And this is my mom's drawing when she was in graduate school that she did for one of her projects. So this is the family drawings. And then this is a wonderful artist who used to live in Brooklyn and now I think lives in Western Pennsylvania. He has a gallery, Peter Williams Gallery, and he sent me this painting. My mom has been good friends with him for a long time, and he's a great oil painter, and I just love that painting, so he gifted it to me, which is super nice. And that is all the artwork in the living room. So the rug in this space, I wanted just something like very neutral. Again, this was like very calming space. So this is just Zara Home. They have great like pretty cost-effective options. And then I'm constantly changing out all the books on the coffee table. Like I recently went to the Neue Gallery and finally got a Sheila book. I love Sheila. He's one of my favorite artists since I was in high school. I just find his like line work and expressiveness really evocative. And then these are super interesting. One of these actually has Diana Vreeland's apartment featured in it, but these are our AD magazines from the 1970s. I'm doing my thesis on how design literature has kind of promoted more homogeneous interiors and how homes are less personalized than they used to be. And so I got these as research for that thesis project. And it's really cool to see how magazines have shifted from the 19th century today, because I've gone kind of back to Edith Wharton, decorating a house, to today looking at like Cabana magazines and that whole canon of design literature for editorials. Edith Wharton wasn't editorials, but it was kind of the beginning of advising a woman of how to design her home. So I'm looking at all of that kind of advice literature of how to make your home the ideal space. And then over my Noguchi lamp, I have a photo of my mom and I. She was an actress when I was a kid, so I think these were headshots that she was taking, and they threw me in with her because I was just an infant. And it's one of my favorite photos of the two of us together, and I love having it in my home. Homes that have an honesty to the objects that are within them, like there are pieces of art I have up in this apartment that if I was in a store, I would never choose them, but it was my grandmother's, so it means something to me and I find a way to make it work in a room. I think obviously as I kind of evolve as a designer, I'll curate that eye more and more, but I think there should always be a level of, your home is not perfect. It should be a reflection of your life and always be kind of continually evolving and curated with you, and having objects that bring you a sense of happiness in it. It's not like this perfect white box that has the matching white boucle chairs and no soul. That maybe was too opinionated, but that is how I feel. From the living room, let me show you my bedroom. So we just walk through this not very interesting, but showing how much storage I get in this apartment, which is great and very rare in New York. Hall of closets. And then we have the primary bedroom. This space is really where I like decompress. I'm one of those people that needs to stay in bed for a long time before I go to sleep. I spend a lot of time, I watch TV, I read. There are hours spent here at night. But this room is fun. It has like, this chair my mom found it on the street in Borum Hill for me. Someone literally put it out on the street, so I have acquired it and it's now my bedside table. with my favorite little Werner Pantone light. And I kind of created a hard surface to actually put drinks on through some coffee table books. But over it, I have this painting, which was my grandmother's. And then over the center of the bed actually is the New York Times spread of when Notre Dame caught on fire. So my mom gets the New York Times, she reads it every single day. And I remember when that happened. I guess I was home at that time. Was it? Because I was not living at home, it was after college. But I just remember looking at that photo and being like, that's the most amazing and yet heart-wrenching photo I've ever seen. So I actually took it with me, and for a long time I had it duct taped to my rental apartment door when I was living in Philadelphia. And then for Christmas, my mom was like, can I take that for a second for some unknown reason? And she had it framed for me. So it is the actual New York Times piece of paper of Notre Dame's in ashes, but it's an amazing photo. And then all of our bedding and rug is from the Annie Selke outlet in Great Barrington. We took a trip and we wanted some kind of personality, more cozy, comfortable covers, and kind of allowed these pillows to drive the color palette of the room, because these were actually college graduation presents from a neighbor of mine, and I love them. They're from Collier's Mansion I think they're on Atlantic Avenue, but they're beautiful pillows, and so they kind of dictated the rest of the space here. We have the classic cartel containers for bedside tables. Those are my boyfriend's. He's had them forever. They're super useful. Anytime a friend of mine is moving into an apartment and they need bedside tables, I suggest these because they're pretty affordable from Design Within Reach and actually usable. If you grow out of having them as your bedside table, they can be a side table in a living room. They can evolve with you over time. I'm always I'd rather you spend money on something that you'll keep for a really long time than something you're just gonna throw out in 2 years. Then this is my desk. It is a CB2 desk with a Design Within Reach outlet chair. These are 2 more posters from the Poster Museum. I have some of my sketches and process work pinned up. And then books I'm working on, some materials. Spend a lot of time here. I have my AutoCAD files up and we're clicking away at floor plans. I'm teaching myself Rhino right now. I don't love 3D modeling, but I'm getting better at it. This is actually where I put my makeup on in the morning. And this mirror is a funny story because it was my grandmother's and it was always her vanity mirror. But originally, this is a fireplace cover, and she had a mirror put into it because she liked the Art Nouveau detail of the fireplace cover so much. So it actually has little leaves that slide in on the side as well. I just think that's a hilarious story. Then we have more books because we have many books in this apartment. I have a little concept model. This is actually the concept for the other site model. These are the 3 apartments. So I was showing the 3 different units, and then this is how they interlocked in the brownstone building. So this was the brownstone, that was the street, and then this was the 3-car garage of the other site model. Design school really makes you kind of grow a lot as yourself as a person. I think in many ways, some of the most interesting things I've learned is to have patience with my own process. When you go into design school, I feel there can be this notion that you're going to be taught the correct way to do something. But design, yes, there are the correct ways to make sure a building is standing and that the electrical is working correctly and that, you have to put a kitchen here because this is the existing plumbing, or if you have the budget, you can move it. And understanding the context of the architecture, but in many ways, design is so subjective. I mean, you can find someone who will hire you for almost any style, any type of design. And so I think there's almost this weird like mental switch that you have to make when you're in school, where you're realizing I'm not being taught how to have taste, because taste is a concept that doesn't really exist. I'm being taught how to find my taste and how to communicate that best, and how to learn how to create space that's livable and that serves the needs of a client or an occupant, or like what the agenda is with a space. So it's less about there being a right and a wrong way of doing things. I think that's sometimes why when I see interior designer content on social media, that I'm kind of like, ugh, I don't love that it's kind of like 5 things I would do in a house or 5 things I wouldn't, because it's such a simplified way of viewing design. Design is not yes and no's of how to put a space together. There are different ways you would handle problems in different locations. So I think being in school has really helped me like understand that part of what you're doing is not learning how to be good at XYZ. It's like learning how to be your own designer and how you want to think through solving problems. Is my little seating nook in the bedroom. This is actually like when I get ready on a weekend or something, my boyfriend will just like lounge here and we'll chat while I'm putting my makeup on over there. Probably the way it gets used the most. But this is a chaise lounge that a neighbor of mine gave my mom because it wasn't fitting in her house anymore. And then my mom had it reupholstered for me when I was in college because it was in like my high school bedroom. And at the time when she asked me, I really wanted like a toile. So that is what this pattern is. And my mom did like a pink toile with like a plaid piping, which I think is such a cool detail. But it also has a skirt and everything else. It just felt a little bit too antique with all the other things in this room, and the pink was really overwhelming. So I took the skirt off. So this is just like the muslin from reupholstering it with the reupholstered cushions. This is also, I think, a cushion from our very close neighbor who gave us the chaise lounge, and then a good little IKEA fur to warm it up, with the cartel side table that's the matching nightstand to the one over there. This is a bird cage from Building on Bond, which is now Cafe Kitsune in Borum Hill. They had a collection of antiques and bird cages, so I think my mom and I each have a bird cage. She has like one double this size. I don't know, I just love it. I think it's like funny. It's great. And then these 2 pieces of art are things that I had in my childhood bedroom, and I've stayed with me. We see Dumbo, Brooklyn Bridge, presence of Brooklyn. And then this is actually my boyfriend's self-portrait. He'd had to do like a Chuck Close style self-portrait in high school. So we each have both of our high school self-portraits from art class hanging in the apartment, which I think is kind of fun. And that's this little area. This is a painting that my mom did in high school of flowers, and I've just always been so impressed by it. It was in my childhood bedroom, and now I still have it. And I think this is the original framing that she did for her mother after she made it. It's like a bamboo style frame, but it's definitely old. It's very sentimental. And then we have my mirror. I think this is from Urban Outfitters. It actually, when I arrived, the mirror fell out and I had to like re-screw everything in. And I'm very worried it's gonna break one day, but it is this just huge fun mirror that I've kept, and I can check my outfit before I leave every day. I think in many ways, I think of this room as being like the least design room in this house. It kind of was born out of the necessity of needing a desk in here. The fact that there's no other place for this chaise lounge to live in the apartment, because it's an enormous piece of furniture to have in a New York City apartment. And I think also we had like just random gray sheets for a really long time. I just wanted there to be like life in the room. And so when I saw this carpet, my boyfriend and I really enjoy going up to Hudson in the winter. We usually go once a year and just go through like vintage stores. And last year when we went, we found an antique Persian rug. It was the most gorgeous rug I've ever seen, and it was incredibly expensive. I genuinely loved it so much though. I was like, oh, is there any way that I can just make this money up that I don't have? But when we took a trip to Great Barrington and stopped by Annie Selke, because we needed new bed linens, and I was like, let's let's go see what they have and get some. We found this rug and it was like very inexpensive because it was an outlet store, and it reminded us of that because the antique Persian rug, it was, I mean, obviously true indigo, so it was just blue with the red stripe and the white stripes. So because of that, we both looked at each other and we were like, it's like the rug. And so honestly, we were like, we're just gonna make it work. We have to do this because it has this kind of like sentimental value. So it reminds us of the beautiful antique Persian rug that one day we will have. And that is kind of what drove the color palette, because then we got blue linens, which already went with like the blue pillows we already had. And part of the reason I took the skirt off this chaise lounge is because the fabric on the chaise lounge really didn't go with the rest of the room. So then I kind of allowed the pink that's going on over there to disguise itself more. And I'm letting the muslin just rock as it is. It's naked over there. So what home means to me is a place where you feel completely comforted and in your own like safety bubble. Originally, homes were this source of shelter, and humans need that place to recharge. And so to kind of curate a space that really feels comforting and warm, especially as a young person in New York, it's hard to do that in rental apartments, in places where you're moving, where you live every year. It can be really hard to kind of feel that sense of, oh, I'm building a life for myself. I'm building a home and a space that is mine. And I think that I'm very focused on providing that sense of warmth and comfort that I felt as a child in the homes that I lived in, within my own space, but putting my own twist on it. And I think now I'm in a place in my life where, you know, I'm with someone that I'm building a life with, and so this apartment is also a reflection of that relationship and of like us wanting to build a life together. So home is this very intimate and comforting place where you like cook and eat and enjoy time with friends and loved ones. And so have fun with it.
Hi Homeworthy, I'm Amy.
I'm John.
And welcome to our apartment on the Upper East Side.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
My name is Amy Littleson McNitt, and I run the fashion and lifestyle blog after my namesake, Amy Littleson, and we are in our Upper East Side apartment.
John McNitt, I'm a financial advisor, and just here to watch Amy, you know, do her thing. So we lived at the shore, or the Jersey Shore on LBI for a couple months. Amy was previously in Philadelphia. I was downtown here in New York. And once the fall hit and people were starting to come back to the city, we started to look for an apartment together. And we were generally looking on the, you know, east side, Upper East Side, and we came across this beautiful spot here.
I grew up in New Jersey, pretty close to New York City actually, and for whatever reason, never wanted to live in New York, never dreamed about it, never saw myself ending up here. But after we graduated college, we went to the University of Richmond. Johnny moved here, and most students who graduate Richmond end up in New York, I would say, the majority. So all of our siblings are here and most of our best friends. When COVID hit, I resigned to work on my blog and Instagram full time, and knew that Johnny was in New York and knew that we wanted to move in together. So that kind of kicked off our process. And as soon as I visited the Upper East Side, I became infatuated with it and really fell in love with this neighborhood, and particularly our building. It was the first time I could see myself in New York City, and we've been here for 4.5 years. Our building truly feels like family, and we've been so happy in this spot. It really blows my mind how much I love New York, we're gonna stick around hopefully long enough to be able to call ourselves New Yorkers. Welcome to our dining space. This was envisioned by our designer Adnan to kind of be like the focal point when you walk into our apartment. And then we have our love sectional, they call it, kind of dividing up the dining space from the living space, which we have really thought to be super functional and great for hosting. Here I have a setup for dinner tonight. We have a number of like our favorite pieces. I actually don't have any of our flatware or china from our wedding registry here. We couldn't fit it. It's in storage at my parents' home in Maine. So this is just our everyday stuff that we love to use. And it actually works really well and draws in a lot of the like navies and greens around the apartment. Funny story, I actually picked out these plates and just loved this floral pattern around them. And then a few months later, I was visiting Johnny's home in Winnetka, Illinois, and realized they have a number of bowls with this same exact pattern on it that I ended up asking Johnny's mom about, and they actually belonged to his grandma. So just by happenstance, I ended up picking out the same pattern that his grandma had used too when she was alive, which I just thought was really sweet. And I've already asked if we can have those pieces later on. And also you'll see these little place card holders were actually from our wedding. They held the table numbers on each of the tables in our wedding tent. And I've just repurposed them here to be place card holders. They're just precious little topiaries. We included a ton of topiaries in our wedding. It was very like garden party-esque. So they're just a fun little detail that is a fun little conversation piece when we have people over. So this table is Magnolia Home. It was actually my parents, and they kindly gave it to us because I just was in love with the scallop detailing here. We painted it Benjamin Moore White Dove, which is our favorite shade of white. Actually, the color of the walls in our apartment were Benjamin Moore White Dove when we moved in, and I joke that that was one of the reasons I fell in love with this apartment. I just think it's the creamiest, prettiest, most classic shade of white. And then the chairs, usually these, I believe they're called like Chippendale chairs, cost like a few $100s a chair. But my mom and I found these at Pier 1 when they were going out of business. We painted them white, and then she helped me recover the cushions in this green and white Schumacher fabric. Our designer used to work for Schumacher, so it was a no-brainer to include and incorporate some of their fabrics and prints into our apartment. The citrus garden is actually the one that I picked out first and that we based our entire color palette around. And just a fun little hack is that we ordered samples of citrus garden, and they came in this like 1 by 1 foot block, and I wasn't gonna do anything with them. So my mom was like, you should just make pillows out of the samples, which is what we ended up doing, and just had her seamstress put it together with this fabric on the back, and they make the perfect little dining pillow. So this is probably one of my favorite little areas in the apartment. I am not much of a cook or a chef or a baker, but I am a cocktailer and can whip up a mean cocktail. So this bar cart is my kind of like happy place. Along the bottom, you'll see we have collected alcohol from some of our favorite places, particularly Soggy Dollar rum from Jost Van Dyke in the British Virgin Islands. We have a beautiful decanter here that matches some of our blue stemless wine glasses that you'll see. And then here is my back stock of Veuve. I've visited the Veuve Clicquot champagne house in France and really am drawn to and love the story of Madame Clicquot. So it's always a good idea to have back stock of Veuve in case somebody comes over and we need to open a bottle. And up here, you'll see we're kind of getting ready to make cocktails tonight. On the left are napkins that one of my best friends gave me that are just like the prettiest shade of blue. And we have the Hotel Lobby New York candle, which is a female-founded New York-based brand I love. This picture is very fitting for a bar cart. It was the re-entrance that we did for our wedding, where I got on Johnny's shoulders with sparkling bottles of champagne and walked into the tent after my outfit change. Funny story, my parents had no idea we were planning this, and the band knew because like they were queued up to play Kygo when we came in. And it was just like such a hysterical memory from the night, and is really fitting as I'm carrying 2 bottles of Veuve here. Also, one more tidbit that I learned is that it's Veuve like love, not Veuve. So it's always a debate. I promise you it's Veuve. And over here, we have a beautiful ice bucket, which actually all of my bridesmaids gave me for my bridal shower, that I just love. It's personalized with our last name. I'm a huge sugar fiend, and this is my favorite gummy. My mom and I always have these in some sort of capacity and are eating them. Then I've got 2 lamps here, just to give it a little bit of warmth. And then this gorgeous Slim Aarons photo, which I recently had reframed, and I will say it was a splurge to reframe it, but so worth it. I ended up going with the museum glass for this, which is like anti-glare and looks so gorgeous in real life. And the framers I use are right around the corner from me, and they do the framing for all of the art in the Chanel and Louis Vuitton stores around the world, and they frame a lot for the Met too. So they definitely knew what they were doing. It cost a pretty penny, but I will have this forever. And it's just one of our favorite slim photos of everybody just relaxing, cocktailing it up in Palm Beach, which I think is the perfect epitome of what this whole space entails. On the opposite side from the bar cart, right next to our dining table, we have our glassware cabinet. I don't know what the next space that we live in will look like, so I wasn't trying to spend a fortune on the big furniture pieces in case we have to sell them or give them away. So I found this on Amazon, and we took the leftover wallpaper from our half bath and lined the back of it, which makes it look much more custom. And then throughout, you'll find our glassware that we've collected over the years. And also, my bridal shower was Stock the Bar themed, which was such a fun idea that my mom and her best friend came up with. They hosted it, so everyone brought fun things for our bar cart or for us to host or drink with. So a lot of this, it was gifts from that fun party, and also things that I've collected. Like here, you'll see a little picture that I just picked up on a trip to Provence this past October. A lot of these things are personalized as well. These Waterford glasses say the McNits on them. And then these little whiskey glasses entail the coordinates of the University of Richmond, where we met. And then down at the bottom, we have a cocktail maker set and this gorgeous Jonathan Adler tray. I love a lot of his pieces because they're a little eccentric and have a really fun pop of color. So you'll see I've woven in a ton of different decor items of his throughout our apartment. The design process was a challenge because we were coming from living in 2 separate spaces. I lived with 2 other girls in Philadelphia in a very hot pink, girly, Barbie-esque apartment. And Johnny lived with 3 other guys in the East Village, where I'm pretty sure the only decor that they had was like a rogue American flag thumbtacked on the wall, okay? And so we had to merge our styles, and we also were renting, so we couldn't do a ton of physical changes to the apartment, but had to get really creative with our designer on making the space really feel our own and merging not only all of our stuff, but just both of our personalities and likes and interests into one apartment. Luckily, we had a lot of help. So one of Johnny's former classmates from New Trier, where Johnny grew up in Winnetka, Illinois, is a designer, and he lives on the Upper East Side, and I've become good friends with him. His name is Adnan Anwar, and he really helped us curate this apartment, from the layout to finding items that reflected both of our hobbies and interests. And then he was hands-on when we moved in, truly here making sure everything was styled to perfection and like the best reflection of our relationship and our history together.
My one request when we moved in was to make sure that someone, when they walked through the front door, knew that a guy lived here. So we can walk through the various pieces later, but there are some hints here that, you know, this is a couple's apartment and a joint apartment, if you will.
I sacrificed a lot of my pink from my former all-girls apartment, okay? When Johnny would come visit me in Philadelphia, he referred to pretty much all of our decor as pink fluffies, because either something was pink or it was like white Sherpa fluffy. So you'll see I've kept a few touches of pink, but really I'm just grateful his favorite colors are navy and green.
The blue couch we're sitting on is a dead giveaway.
Yeah.
All right, so over here is something close to my heart as well, and for a few different reasons. This is a Scottie Pippen photo, and one, it's the Chicago player dunking over Patrick Ewing, which is probably one of the most famous New York Knicks players of all time. So that's kind of ironic that we've chosen to live in New York and we have that photo. But another thing is it doesn't really match the gold framing around here. You can see it's a silver frame, but we were able to get it on the wall for a reason. Credit to Adnan Anwar, actually. He overrode my mother-in-law when they were trying to hang it up in the bathroom or put it under the bed. He said Scottie Pippen is a very important person in Chicago history, and he happens to be right. So that's how that got out here. It didn't quite make it to the gallery wall, but we're happy as a consolation. Silver medal, if you will, with the silver lining here.
So once you exit our dining area, you walk right into our living space, where we have this stunning love sack sectional, which, long story short, but I wanted a white couch for this space, and our designer Adnan convinced me to go with navy. And let me tell you, it was the best decision we made, because we live on this thing. Like, sometimes we're bad and we'll eat dinner on it with the coffee table. We host people here. I've had people, I take off these back cushions and turn it into a twin bed when we have guests. It has served such a purpose and been the best sectional, they call it a sectional, ever. We love it. It's super comfortable and deep and just awesome. And around it, we kind of built out this little nook, which includes our coffee table, which is like a focal point here, with some of our favorite coffee table books that kind of represent the both of us. We've got New York Chic here, and then a book about Wrigley Field below. We love a game of backgammon, so we have this gorgeous board here that was gifted to us for our wedding. And then over here we have a little side table, which includes this gorgeous faux orchid, which people can never believe is fake. It's actually an Amazon find. And this is a fun little tidbit. I had these matches made for our apartment. They say Amy and Johnny's on the Upper East Side. And I had them initially made for our holiday party that we throw every year here, but now they just kind of sit out for guests to take when they're over. Our holiday party is probably our favorite thing we do in our apartment. We have like 50 to 60 of our friends come over, which is kind of crazy because the space is small. And we cover the entire floor with like cheap white Amazon rugs because things get crazy, okay? Like as soon as we whip out the shot ski, it's all bets are off and stuff is spilled and it's like, we have a bartender come. It's so fun. Usually Johnny and I do an outfit change where we dress up as Mr. and Mrs. Claus mid-party. So that in itself is a whole affair, and we had these matches there this year for that. And now I've just kept the excess ones here in this gorgeous crystal bowl that I thrifted. So this rug is from Rugs USA. It's super soft. It's almost like walking on a sweater. And we had a light colored jute rug here initially when we moved in, but actually when we came back from our honeymoon, we came back to a flood in our apartment that happened while we were away. Luckily our apartment management took care of it and came in here and cleaned everything up, but unfortunately our rug was ruined, and it's a huge space that it covers, so we had to get a new one and opted for this one that we've been really happy with. It doesn't shed. I get a lot of questions about that. It doesn't shed. It's held up really well. We Scotch guarded it, so if things spill, we've been able to get stains out really easily, and it's served a really great purpose in here. So here we have our media console, which I joke we can never move out of this apartment because of how perfectly this console fits in between our air conditioner and heating here, and then the end of this windowsill. It just looks like it was made for this space. And this coordinates with a number of furniture pieces in my office area too, which you'll see. And then up above, we installed this curtain rod because there wasn't anything here, and it was a tricky scenario because the ceiling, I believe, is like cement. So we really drilled holes in the cement ceiling to put up these curtains, but I just think a room doesn't look fully put together without curtains. So it was something I'm really glad that we did, and hopefully the next tenants of this apartment keep them because it was so much work and so expensive, but worth it. So here's Johnny's putter. He loves to have this out when we have friends over or just at the end of the day to mindlessly putt. It's such a good find. I got it on Amazon. It's called the Perfect Practice mat. And I'm just really grateful that it's this attractive shade of green because it coordinates with my Schumacher throw pillows, which was of course a priority. Speaking of the pillows, this is the Citrus Garden print that we also have on a few of our dining chairs. And this print was the inspiration for the painting that's behind my desk, which is how we kind of incorporated the decor and design of my office area into the living room, so it all really flows and ties in nicely together. But I just love how happy this is with the lime greens and turquoise and yellows, and it really just brings the space and all of the colors together in a nice way. Our favorite conversation piece of our apartment, and probably what I get the most questions about, is our gallery wall. And Adnan and I worked in tandem on this to really bring together all of Johnny and my's favorite locations, trips, hobbies, interests into one gallery wall. Each piece has a memory or a trip tied to it, which makes it really special. And it's a combination of photos, like here you can see a gray Malin, photos I've taken. I took this shot of Long Beach Island, which is where my family has a beach house, vintage images and vintage postcards. There's sports tickets from Johnny's favorite teams and tournaments, games that he's been to. We also have a lot that reflects back to our wedding. This is the country club where we had our rehearsal dinner. This is a painting of where we met at the University of Richmond. Everything kind of tells a story here and makes it a very happy us wall. This might look kind of odd at first glance because it's a photo of a really dirty bottle of bourbon, but the backstory is that there's this old wives' tale that if you buy a bottle of bourbon and bury it on the site of your wedding venue a month prior to getting married, then you're guaranteed to have beautiful weather on your wedding day, and like, who doesn't want that? So my mother and my mother-in-law bought this Four Roses bottle of bourbon and ended up like sneaking onto our wedding venue property, burying it a month out from the wedding. And I remember like the week of the wedding, we were supposed to get a cold front in Florida and it was supposed to rain. So I was freaking out, like ordering pashminas in bulk for our wedding guests, okay? And not even looking at the weather then as it got closer. And the day of our wedding, it was so sunny and warm and so like the perfect Florida day. And because we had this bottle of bourbon buried, the skies were pink, which also was perfect because our wedding dress code was pink and courage. So all of our guests were wearing pink, but our sky was pink and it was like the most beautiful romantic sunset. And then we all went into the tent for dinner and dancing. And as soon as my dad started giving his toast, the skies opened up and it started downpouring. But we were all cozy inside the tent, like totally dry. And it was like the sweetest moment. And I love rain. And I think it's so romantic when it rains on your wedding day. And it was just like the coziest, most romantic time underneath the tent with the rain outside. And we dug up the bottle of bourbon. Everybody took a shot. And we actually still have it in Florida, but I swear this trick works.
So on the back left corner there is the W flag, which I spoke about earlier. That's from the Cubs World Series year, and hopefully there's another W to be had, but if not, that's always memorialized on the top there. A Masters ticket here. I was able to go to the Masters in 2019. That's when Tiger Woods most recently won his latest major, so that was a great experience. Saturday was when he kind of made his big comeback, and that's called moving day at the Masters, so it was a great experience. Didn't get my phone taken away, which is great as well. Left that outside, but that's kind of the only memorialization of going to the Masters since you're not allowed to have your phone on the grounds, so good to have that there. Here is the moment the Cubs won the World Series when Chris Bryant fielded the dribbler down the third base line and threw it to first base for the final out. If you're a Cubs fan, you probably weren't confident that that was going to be completed and may have been thrown away, but here we are, and that was done. The U.S. Open at Shinnecock down here, I went right when I came to New York. The U.S. Open was held at Shinnecock, so that was great. Tip for anyone who goes to visit Shinnecock: there is no trees on the course, so bring your sunscreen. Here, Barcelona, I was able to go to Barcelona on a semester abroad. Amy was in Prague, and I think we were in Vienna when we found these at a street market. So just a good way to remember going to Barcelona. Here we have the Kenny Chesney guitar. Amy's done work with Blue Chair Bay Rum, so Kenny Chesney happens to be my favorite country artist. I don't go to many concerts, but probably 5 of the 10 concerts I've been to in my life have been Kenny Chesney, so this is a great guitar. I can't play guitar, and it's definitely not tuned, but it's a good thing to have on the wall, just to, remember Kenny Chesney, but neither of us play musical instruments. I'm kind of I don't know if it's left brain or right brain, but whatever the music is, I'm on the other side. Yeah, we met at the University of Richmond. We met each other actually freshman year, but didn't really connect until sophomore year, second semester. So we've been together for pretty much a decade now, and which sounds like a long time.
I know.
And lived separately, as Amy said, for a few years, and then came together in New York and got married shortly thereafter.
I think we first connected when we were in a business fraternity together at the University of Richmond, Alpha Kappa Psi, and we were in the same grade too, so we just overlapped a lot. And my best friend, my big sister, my sorority, would bring me to a lot of the parties and that Johnny's fraternity threw. And so we just ran into each other a bunch. And as soon as we started dating, I knew 2 weeks in that he was the one. I said that in my wedding vows. So it was pretty seamless from there on out. We're fortunate enough that both of our parents coincidentally have homes in a town called Vero Beach, Florida. It's in between Orlando and Palm Beach. And we spend all of our holidays there with our families, and our families, specifically our parents, have become really close. So it was honestly a no-brainer once we got engaged, which happened to be in Vero Beach as well, to have our wedding there and really share such a special town and such a beautiful island with all of our wedding guests. So we decided to do it there at the rehearsal dinner and welcome party was at Johnny's Golf Club, and then the wedding ceremony was at the First Baptist Church of Vero Beach, and the reception was at the clubbing community my parents belonged to, John's Island Club. Everyone wanted to go to Florida in February, we found out. And you'll see in our apartment that a lot of the touches and design choices we made reflect our love for Florida, which makes it such a happy space for us. So welcome to my office space. This is where I spend the majority of my time working on my blog and Instagram. I have this kind of cheeky Jonathan Adler pillow here that, you know, makes fun of what I do. And it is really just like such an airy, welcoming, happy space. We switched out the light fixture. There was something bad up here before this. And I actually found this acrylic and gold one from Amazon, and it's worked out really well. And then behind my desk, we have this console here, which coordinates with the media console that's in our living area. And this just houses like files, supplies, etc. And then this is probably my favorite piece in the apartment besides the one, the painting that reflects my wedding dress. And it's actually by the same artist, Kristen Tierney, who I've become good friends with and is based in the mainline, Pennsylvania. But she just does the most stunning, abstract and like floral pieces, a lot of which is actually inspired by fashion designers. But for this one, I actually had her match the colors to the Schumacher Citrus Garden fabric that I showed you earlier. The pillows are on our couch and on our dining chairs. And she just like nailed it and hit it out of the park with this one. And then here I've got a little photo. This is like one of my favorites of Johnny and me when we got engaged in Vero Beach. Right here, I have a bookshelf that features a lot of my favorite coffee table books and photos of our friends and family. We have, oh, also my wedding invitation right here, which is just kind of fun to have on this little easel. Below, I have a picture of my girlfriends and I. My bachelorette was actually on St. Bart's, and I have a gray Malin print right opposite from here of St. Bart's. But here we are at Bagatelle one night, just like a crazy blur of sequins and glitter and champagne. Here we keep all of our matchbooks that we've collected at different restaurants and weddings and things over the years. I also have a number of Lily Pulitzer books. You'll see Lily here, the Lily 5x5, Essentially Lily, because I worked there for 3 years after I graduated in influencer marketing on their corporate marketing team. So they're a company that's very near and dear to my heart and that are still very representative in the spaces I live and work. So this chair is another Amazon find that's so comfortable, and I sit here almost all day. So it was important for me to have a big comfy chair, and it's the pop of pink I wanted in this office space. Then we have this acrylic table from CB2, which serves as my desk and is kind of impractical because it's obviously transparent and has no drawers, but I make up for it in the console behind my desk and also these drawers over here, which are actually nightstands, but we use as additional storage for like gift wrapping supplies and my stationery, and obviously some more coffee table books here that reflect some of my favorite things. I am a Swiftie through and through, so of course I have the new Eras Tour book here. So I love this acrylic table because you can see through to the rug, and I think it just really opens up the space. It was also Adnan's idea to put it in the middle of the room, which I love because it gives it that little designer touch that makes it a little bit more elevated than if I were to put the desk up against a wall, which is to be expected, but this is a little unexpected, which I appreciate. You'll see my sister, who lives downtown, has this same rug, but bigger in her living room. A lot of our style overlaps in fun ways, and that's one of the more obvious ones that I love, that we share the same rug. It's such a good neutral. Jacqueline and I have very similar styles because our biggest influence is our mom, who I would describe decorates with traditional elements with a little bit of a twist. She is famous, honestly, for curating such cozy, warm, inviting homes that are really colorful and homey and special. She just has a knack for that, my mom, that we have been so fortunate to learn from over the years and just adapt and pick up on along the way. She's taught us literally everything from how to find the best items at Home Goods to how to organize and coordinate a plate wall to, you know, doing flower arrangements and all of that. So you'll see similarities there with my sister and me and how we decorate, because it's largely influenced by our mother. So right when you walk in, we have a little entryway here with a table that's kind of like a catch-all for our keys, and usually Johnny's swim goggles and swim cap are on this, but I took them away for your viewing pleasure today. And then over here we have this sign, which is one of my favorites. It says, "There are so many beautiful reasons to be happy." And it's such like a sweet reminder as you're exiting or entering our apartment. And we have one of my favorite photos of the two of us on a birthday I had a few years ago. Right off the entryway is our half bath or powder room. And this is actually Paris themed. I try to make it a point to go to Paris every year, so I've just collected a few things along the way. We actually wallpapered this. Long story short, I thought this was peel and stick wallpaper, but actually only the sample square was peel and stick. And when this arrived, the full rolls of it, I realized that it's actually real wallpaper. So yes, we actually wallpapered for real our half bath. So I don't even want to talk about what that's going to look like when we have to move out of this rental. But for now, it's beautiful. We love it in here. We have this photo or painting of the Ritz Paris, which is my favorite hotel. And then directly across from the mirror is this little cane shelf. So it's actually a really good Home Goods find. And there are just a few little pieces on here that make me happy. A photo of Johnny and me when I first visited his hometown in Chicago, a candle and a tissue box, just a few things like that. So here we have this buffet at console table, which I found via Bed Bath & Beyond, and the navy perfectly coordinates with our Love Sack sectional. It also has these knobs, which I switched out. These were an Amazon find, and I just think the gold makes them look so much more elevated and sophisticated. Here we have this set up for dinner. Since our apartment is all clean today for this tour, I'm having friends over for dinner later, and we're gonna do a Parmesan crusted chicken from my favorite market up here, Butterfield Market. So here I have two candles that are strawberry too to coordinate with the salad. I love a good theme. And we have some Amy and Johnny napkins, which are left over from our rehearsal dinner, and just bring in that little pop of pink that I'm always fighting to sneak into our apartment. Then here we have a gorgeous plate wall of a few different Aquazzura plates that I found at Bloomingdale's in the city, and white cabbage plates. My sister and I actually put this together and we eyeballed the entire thing. You don't even want to know how many nail holes are behind these, but it looks beautiful, and we ended up just buying these plate stickers on Amazon, which my mom told us about. She is famous for plate walls and has had like gorgeous plate walls in all of our homes growing up. And they do a really good job of making sure your plates stay on the wall and look gorgeous. Since we have so many framed photos and arts throughout the apartment, I wanted something a little bit different here, which is why I decided to go with plates. And I really love how it turned out. Here is our like catch-all bulletin board where we keep a number of save the dates, wedding invitations, our favorite thank you notes, or just little mementos that we've collected over the years. And it's such a joyful spot that I love walking past because we're always reminded of really fun celebrations and little notes from our friends and family.
Our honeymoon was in the Maldives and Dubai. Dubai because, you know, we had to connect somewhere for the Maldives, but it ended up being a great city to visit. Now it's, you know, more and more people you see are going out there to visit, and they're developing as far as the eye can see. So really a lot to see there. And then the Maldives, we really wanted a beach vacation where we could kind of relax because the wedding weekend was a lot of socialization and lack of sleep. So it was great to get as far away as possible. There was about 24 hours of flying time to get there. But I'm also a big fan of underwater sports like scuba diving and snorkeling. And Amy was followed along scuba diving once with me, but there really isn't much to do other than go underwater there, which was totally fine with me. And then we just got a lot of relaxing and eating good food and time together.
My favorite piece in the apartment, well, first of all, it's so hard to choose. Pretty much everything in here has significance or meaning to us, but my mom commissioned a painting by my favorite artist, Kristen Tierney, of the texture of my wedding dress. And you'll see it, it's right next to my closet, and it's just like the most simple but intricate piece that reflects my favorite thing I've ever worn, my wedding dress, and that weekend, which was so special to us. You wouldn't even know what it was at first glance, which makes it even more impactful once you understand, and it's just like the most elegant, stunning piece and means so much to me. So now we're gonna head into our primary bath, my closet, and our bedroom area. It's nice that this is closed off, especially when we have guests over, because we can kind of like throw everything in here and like pretend it doesn't exist. But right in here, we have our primary bath, my closet, and then the bedroom on the other side. On the door here, we have a very large jewelry hanger, which houses a lot of my statement jewelry. And then this is the painting that I was talking about earlier that Kristen Tierney did, that my mom commissioned her to do of my wedding dress print. My mom actually sent her a piece of fabric for my wedding dress that we had left over from it being altered. And Kristen did that based off of this. So it's a perfect replica of the dress and the print and has this gorgeous 3D texture to it. So here is what I call my little jewel box oasis of a closet. It is quite literally filled to the brim with shoes, clothing, accessories. I have all of my clothing in here. I don't do any like seasonal changes except for like a few Christmas things. So it had to be really functional. I use every single square inch of this closet, okay? And there's even some artwork in here. You'll see I have a photo of Barbie out of Vanity up top, which I just adore. And lots of just like accessories, shoes. Sometimes I come in here with a glass of wine, okay? And it's just like so happy and so me and very, very girly. So I have a number of really fun, eccentric items and accessories in here. One, for example, is this bag that I was just charging actually this morning, which is a really fun wedding clutch because it actually lights up in multiple different colors. You should see me on the dance floor with this. Like, okay, that is a good time. And also over here, like this purse is a seashell flask, which has been with me to St. Bart's, Saint-Tropez, like you name it, and has seen a lot of stuff, okay? And I have just a number of like bags over here. Our suitcases are stored here, my pants, and then like sweat sets. And then I hang most of my things here, and I'm very color oriented. You could probably pick up on that by now, but I have this all color coordinated, so it's really easy for me to find something. And then here, this is one of my favorite photos ever. It's a picture of Johnny and me on our wedding day with all of our wedding guests in front of the church where we got married, which you guessed it, was pink too. And I just love the joy that's in this photo, and it always makes me smile when I catch a glimpse of it when I'm grabbing something from my closet. So I started my blog on a whim back when I was a freshman in college in 2013. I had grown up very entrepreneurial and creative, always starting little side businesses and also doing a lot of creative writing and really having a passion for getting dressed up and accessorizing ever since I was a little girl. And so it just was a very natural transition to start my own website and start writing and sharing photography and my style on it. But this was back before I even knew that you could monetize it. I had no idea. And a few months after starting it, I discovered that I could actually make money from it through affiliate links and collaborating with various brands. And that really just was a major aha moment for me and pretty much changed the whole trajectory of my life from there on out. I decided to create my own major at Richmond called Integrated Marketing and Communications. And from there, I studied the business side of blogging and then went on to work in influencer marketing for a resort wear brand after that, and where I continued my education about the influencer industry and how that all works. And this whole time I continued writing on my blog and building up my Instagram, and it got to the point where in February of 2020, actually right before COVID hit, I decided to resign and go full-time doing this and really make a leap of faith, and with Johnny's support, and it turned out even better than my wildest dreams. I'm so grateful for my job. I wake up every day excited to do it and really just love to engage with my followers and my readers, and I don't know how many people can say that they're truly living out their dream job. So it's been really fun to build an apartment that's a reflection of my blog and my style and everything, and get to share it with everyone. If you're a Reese Witherspoon fan, you probably recognize this quote. It's from Sweet Home Alabama, which is my favorite movie of all time. It says, "So I can kiss you anytime I want." And I think that was just like a sweet addition to this bedroom. It's actually probably the first thing I bought for our apartment months and months before we moved in. Now we're in our bedroom, which really is like the most calming space in our apartment. Adnan and I tried to pull in lots of soft and like coastal blues and warm natural elements. You'll see a lot of rattan and cane in here, which I think just makes it feel almost like a coastal oasis, which is exactly what we were going for in our bedroom. We both love the beach and being by the water, and this kind of evokes those calming feelings, even though we're in Manhattan. So Johnny and I have these matching nightstands from HomeGoods, painted Benjamin Moore White Dove. We love the added storage these have. You'll see every piece of furniture in our apartment, besides my desk, has drawers so that it's used to the max, because storage is like so hard to come by in a New York City apartment. This art we love. It's by Urban Garden Designs, and we found really inexpensive frames. Actually, Adnan did from Walmart. So we framed these ourselves. It kind of gives me like a Game of Thrones vibe here with like this bird that kind of looks like a dragon. We loved that series, so this just is kind of a funny way to remark back to that.
So this is the hat wall. I'm not a big hat guy, but I've collected hats over the years from significant experiences. Starting here with the Masters, my uncle got that for me, and that was kind of my foray into the Masters world, and looking forward to that every April. And then eventually being able to go in 2019 was kind of a dream come true. The Virgin Islands here, I love the Caribbean. I'll admit that I haven't been to a ton of places yet, so a lot of my gear is actually from Amy, who's the world traveler of the family. And then a lot of hats are just, Cubs here. I like wearing that around New York because you can always find a Cubs fan somewhere. And then a lot of it are just golf related because you need to have a kind of a rotation when you're playing golf. So I've collected a lot more hats than I actually wear, but these are just a few that mean the most to me.
We built the bed coordination around this headboard from Cooley Home, which is fun because they have lots of customized fabric options. We went with this kind of like geo square print. It almost looks like a gingham. And what's really remarkable about this headboard is that it comes in one piece as a piece of foam that expands when you open it, and was very easy to set up. Then from there, all of our bedding is from the company store. It's a sateen fabric, which I've found to be closest to the Four Seasons bedding, which I'm obsessed with. Everything is by the company store, except for this lumbar pillow here is Boll and Branch, and Manny cannot be bought. He is my little manatee that I have slept with since I was little, and luckily Johnny has welcomed into our home. So over here we have our dresser. This is a Wayfair find that we actually got recently, and I love it because it's huge, and so it houses both of our t-shirts, pajamas, all of that good stuff. Then on top, I've completely hijacked this surface area, and it is almost like a getting ready spot for me. Right here, I call this like my charm bar because I have a number of charms here for different necklaces that I can just put in and out and exchange as I want. We also have some thrifted pieces like this vintage crystal box, which houses my charm bracelets. Just lots of like jewelry out and about so I can easily grab it. And then a few just photos that mean a lot to me. This is my mom and I when I was a baby, my dad and me on the beach growing up. And then over here we have a photo of Johnny and me on our wedding day. And then this quote, which I work with a Christian life coach who I adore, and she gifted me this when we were getting married, just to help me like deal with the stress of planning a wedding. And it's such a sweet reminder that at the end of the day, it's about our marriage and all the years after a wedding.
So this is the second best office in the apartment, and there's only 2 rooms in our apartment, so you can do the math there. This is my desk when I work from home. This is where I'm working. It's great. You view out the window here, get a lot of natural light, even though we're north facing, but you'll see, you can compare and contrast and decide for yourself who has the best office when you see Amy's office, but it's a great spot to work, and a lot of memories from COVID here because I spent a lot of time at this desk. So the photos, that's from Richmond. My sister framed that for me a long time ago, and I've kept it ever since. That was from Richmond. Our whole family went to Richmond, so that's a good memory. And here was one of my best friend's weddings, later in the night, and I guess that's a picture of me dancing, so. And then the desk, actually, funny story, it came from IKEA, so it came in 7 million pieces. And I remember during COVID spending a full day putting it together, but it was worth it because it's got a lot of storage, and it's been a fixture in our apartment ever since. So it was worth it putting together, and putting it together with my own hands gives it its own significance.
So now we're entering our primary bath here, which reflects those same like soft coastal blues that you see in our bedroom. We have all wheezy towels and the shower curtain, and I love a big monogram, so we've got that going on here. Just over here I have some easy to grab toiletry items. Again, our gorgeous Wheezy towels, and just a little catch-all tray here from Mark and Graham. And then these are the chicest toothbrushes I've ever seen. They're from a company called Trask and are also like really soft, great bristles. Like, I don't know why I'm going on and on about this toothbrush, but it's amazing. Home to us is actually synonymous with friends and family. We have worked so hard to curate this apartment to be the most welcoming, opening, inviting space for our friends and family. Like we mentioned, all of our siblings live in New York City, and most of our best friends do too. And this apartment just kind of welcomes people to stop by on a whim, have a 3 p.m. happy hour, come by to watch the Masters or the Super Bowl. We've hosted dinner parties that have gone way past our bedtimes and have had so many laughs and really meaningful times here with our friends and family. And I think that's been the most special part of this space and why we're so attached to it.
And I'll take the flip side too. There's a warm and welcoming aspect to this home, and much due to your credit, Amy, where, you know, New York City is a crazy place, especially for someone like me coming from the Midwest. So coming home to a place like this is always that escape from the big city.